Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the ultimate Cleveland sports show, along with Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell. I'm Adam the Bull. We got Mike, Earl, Anthony, and Director Steve all behind the glass, and a lot to get to today, guys. How are you?
Well,
what's going on, fellas?
Well, you weren't here yet, but I just apparently scared the heck out of Jason.
Oh,
so Jason, let me
tell
everyone. So this is what happened. We sitting in here. Jason, I pull in and I'm walking in the door. And it's like 10:30, and I see this white car pull in. I'm like, Jason here this early before Bull? What's going on? I'm in here. Mikey comes back and said, we sitting right here where he's ready to do the pre-show rundown prep. And I was like, well, don't call Jason because he's in the car. Yeah. He was like, well, go see how long Jason's going to be. So I go walk out there. I walk up with Jason in his car, and it's a very passionate speech.
It is. I'm talking to my mom about internet.
Listen, it's so passionate. His eyes is closed.
You ever do that?
I was just he like this with his eyes closed.
I wasn't not.
Mom was driving you crazy on the phone?
No.
I'm literally standing in front of his car. Bull. I'm standing there for like 45 seconds. No exaggeration. Yeah. 45 seconds. And he just eyes is closed the whole time.
Oh my God, that
looking
is bizarre.
up in the sky like Jesus take the wheel. and I'm just standing there waiting on him to acknowledge me. Yeah. Well, he finally opens his eyes and he sees me. He goes, "Oh shoot!"
I look up and Thomas is like this in front of my car. Like, there's an enormous black man in front of my car. I'm calling 911.
Oh my God.
So yeah, I'm about scared Jason to death.
Oh my God.
We were talking about like DirecTV and YouTube. Like, it was not even
Why are you closing your eyes?
I don't know. I see like this. You ever do that? You never do that?
With my eyes closed? No.
I don't know.
Not for that long.
You know, people that have ADHD or ADHD?
Oh, you name it. I've got all the letters.
So my son has ADHD as well. And people that have ADHD have to really focus on the thing they're doing. Otherwise, they're all over the place, right?
That's true.
So sometimes that must be it.
I don't know.
There are times where if my son's doing something that he likes and I talk to him, he doesn't even hear me.
Yeah.
It doesn't register.
I mean, unless he'll talk to me, and
it's not, and it doesn't get in. If you're locked into something, it doesn't get in.
So. That's real. So,
man,
that was funny.
That happened.
You gave him a scare. Almost a heart attack for Jason this Tuesday. After he played golf yesterday, we had a great time at the golf event, the Austin Car Golf event. It was really a nice day. It's a great cause.
Yeah.
And we were talking, Mike and G and I were talking with some of the people there after, and we learned a little more, and it was really cool. And we'll probably be back next year. And Austin was great. And I was disappointed that Jason didn't come on the show yesterday because Zach Meisel, yesterday morning when we were doing the Guardian show, I said, yeah, we're doing the golf event. Jason's one of the celebrity golfers. And Zach's like, wait, what? He's like, Jason is the worst golfer ever.
Nick Camino's worse than I am.
Well, I've heard those stories too.
But I am a horrible golfer.
He claims that him and Fedor used to play regularly.
We did. The COVID summer particularly.
Right. And then there was one time he's like, one time Jason choked up on a shot.
Yes.
And made a miracle shot. And ever since then you thought that was the move.
It was. Jimmy Hanlon taught it to me.
Okay,
it's choke down on the driver, and it's a half swing. And I actually tried it yesterday.
And it didn't work.
It went 25 feet. But it's like you choke down on the driver. So if you're in between and it's the driver's too much club for it. If you just choke down, it's 200, 220.
So how'd you play yesterday?
My team, I want to give a quick shout out to my team. I want to make sure I get the names right. Well, first of all, I played with Ryan Gensler, the women's coach at University of Akron. So it was fun meeting him, and I got a funny story about that. Then I just lost the screen. I played with...
You were working on that for 10 minutes.
I literally just
lost it.
I played with Dr. James Walter. He's an orthopedic doctor, hand surgeon, elbow surgeon.
Okay.
I had a great time with him. And then the father-son duo of Big Al Spalding and AJ Spalding. AJ's a huge fan. He's like,
shout out to those
creepy
guys.
Stalker. I know everything about you. I know your kid plays baseball. Like, super fan. They were great.
That's awesome.
And I was with Amarian Rice. Really, really cool young man, 18 years old, going to Ohio State.
Go Bucks.
He said he was from Cleveland Heights. I think he went to Maple Heights, though. He said he's playing football. I don't know if he's walking on or if he's...
Probably. Maybe a preferred walk.
Does it sound familiar?
But Amarian is going to the National Guard this summer, and then he's going to Ohio State to study forensics.
Awesome.
And wants to go in the FBI. And really cool. He'd never swung a club in his life before yesterday.
Yeah.
He might have been better than me by the end of the day. I mean, I'm bad. And so this is funny. I got to tell us really quick. This is really funny. So they have these celebrity golfers, right?
Yeah.
And clearly, I'm not really a celebrity, but they were hurting for celebrities.
You are a celebrity.
So I go up to these guys. I'm like, hey, I think I'm with you guys today, and I shook their hand. And Ryan, it was funny. Ryan actually knows Tim Bontemps and Brian Windhurst, and is close with those guys. There's the St. Bonnie's connection with Bontemps. So as the round went on, I got to know him, and I had a blast. I had such a great time with those guys.
That's awesome.
But Ryan, when I met him, he's like, yeah, we have our foursome already, so I think you're with somebody else. And I was like, no, I'm your celebrity. And I am such a big celebrity, you have no idea who I am.
Oh, my God.
And I said,
go ahead.
I said, I'm so sorry. Not only did you not get a celebrity, you also got a terrible golfer. So you guys, and someone else at the course yesterday asked me, so what's your handicap? And I said, 4! Like, I'm so bad. So I told these guys, I'm like, listen, I'm good for 2 shots. I'll get you guys 2 shots somewhere in this round. I don't know when they're going to come, but you'll know them when you see them. And sure enough, I hold out a putt from about 40 feet from the fringe. Like, I hadn't hit a shot for the first 3 holes. Could not hit a shot to save my life. Get up to this about 40-foot putt and sink it from the fringe. And they were like, what?
Is it best ball or whatever it's called?
It's scramble. Yeah. Everybody hits.
So how'd you guys do as a team?
We as a team shot a 57, which was 14 under, which was really good.
Damn.
But these guys are serious golfers. Like, they are legit.
So you got carried.
I got carried big time. Yeah. And I probably gave them 3 or 4 shots. I didn't see the foursome that won, but the foursome that won shot at 52. Like, they were 20 under.
How many holes?
Or 19 under. 18 holes.
Who shoots a 52?
But it's best ball.
Oh, I see.
Or it's a scramble, so like everybody hits. And
so it's the best one each hole. So somebody's going to have a good hole.
No, I shouldn't say it's a scramble. So everybody tees off, okay?
Right.
And then you find which shot you like the best, and then everybody goes to that shot, and everybody hits again.
Yeah.
So it's easy to birdie. We had a couple eagles.
You only need one person to birdie each hole, essentially.
You only need one person to hit a good shot on each shot because you're taking the best shot.
Right.
So, I mean, we had a couple eagles on par 5s. Like, we got...
If I ever get into golfing, that's how I'm going to start. Scramble.
There you go. Scramble. That's the way to go.
It's so... I mean, I lost...
Can't hurt.
I just got to hold the club. I lost. Start from there.
I lost 77 golf balls yesterday. I think as I just would hit.
How many clubs did you lose?
Oh, I don't lose clubs. Those are expensive.
Okay.
That's you, Ty.
Yeah, you're the only one that loses clubs.
I did it for the kids. I did it to raise awareness to Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Yeah, good cause.
Speaking of losing stuff, there was a video of Nick Chubb that made its way around the internet yesterday that made people lose its minds.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk a little bit more about it in overtime, but I do want to set it up by playing you guys the video in case you missed it.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb, 8 months after injuring his knee in catastrophic fashion, did this yesterday, which just doesn't even look humanly possible. And
It
Nick
looks
Chubb,
fake.
What a dude.
That doesn't
What
look
elite
real.
strength.
Travis, how heavy are those? Are those 50s?
45.
45s. It's 540 pounds.
It doesn't even look like he's struggling.
Yeah, there's no 50s. I'm an idiot. 45s.
By the way,
And
awkward
that's a
transition
tsunami
by
bar,
you,
real
Mike,
quick.
on there. That was
That's
an
a
awkward
tsunami bar.
transition.
It's supposed to bend.
Yeah.
Just a
Yeah,
heads
okay.
up. That is designed to do that.
That's because a regular one. First of all, I don't think a regular bar I don't think can hold that many plates like that. And
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, he.
I think the knee's okay.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little more
Now,
about
does
that.
that mean he can cut? I don't know.
I think that this is mentally that helps him mentally to be like,
Sure.
all right, so the strength is there.
Right,
Now, I still think the one thing is the hit. Like, somebody go low, he goes, ah! It's going to be one of them type of moments. Until he take that hit and get up clean, it's just mental.
All right, more on that later. Mike, go ahead.
We're going to dive into our first topic of the day after a quick word from FanDuel. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. Just head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show. And, Bo, we're going to start
Before
with
we
a
do
recap
that,
of last night and a preview of tonight's All-Star game.
Yeah, so let me just tell the folks, coming up in about 10, 15 minutes, a new contract for a Cleveland Browns player not named Amari Cooper. Baker Mayfield is whining again, and we're going to talk with the head coach, Travis Bazzana's head coach in college at Oregon State. He is going to join us at noon. So that's all coming up in just a little bit. But as Mike said, last night, the home run derby, guys, we got to start with that national anthem. First of all, who is that singer and what happened?
I have no idea.
I've never heard of her.
She has 4 Emmys, or
She
4
does?
Grammys.
She
4
did.
Grammys.
Did she steal them?
Is she a country singer?
That's what I thought. I thought she was.
Here's
Her
what I
name
don't
is
understand.
Ingrid
I've never heard of her.
Andress.
You know what she
Andress.
did?
Yeah.
She just got her sales to go, her streams to go
think
up
so?
a lot. Yeah.
Can Major League Baseball get a bigger star than her for singing the national anthem?
She has 4 Grammys.
I'm about to
heard
say
of her.
She got 4 Grammys.
You haven't heard of her. We're old.
You guys never heard.
Okay.
Don't you like country music?
I'll listen a little bit, yeah. Is she
I don't
really
like country music.
I'm gonna
so
tell
maybe
you.
that's why I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you how I know that she's not that big. My
Yeah.
wife didn't know who she was.
Well, your wife likes country music?
What? My wife listens to all genre.
Really?
Music, yeah.
Okay.
When she gets the aux cord, it really upsets me.
I don't know what that is.
It
when you're in
upset-
control of the music.
Oh man,
You're so
what's
old
wrong
school.
with you, boy?
You don't know what an aux cord is?
Never heard of it.
That's the oldest thing you've ever said on the show.
Really? All right, good for me.
Well, it was funny because
Dog.
well, I'm driving home from the outing, and
Yeah.
Jay texted our group, and he's like, "That anthem,
Yeah.
holy, whew."
Yeah.
And I walk in the house, and my family first thing they say is, "Oh my God, that anthem!" And I was like, "Well, now I got to hear this."
See, I didn't hear. My
Everybody's
wife,
talking about
my
the
wife
anthem.
told me about it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't hear it. And I went and looked it up on Twitter, and I was like, yeah, she
was
tried to
bad.
do her own thing, and
was
it
bad.
just wasn't.
That was like not quite Roseanne Barr bad, but
It reminded, and actually, when I listened to it, I
Yeah.
thought it was like Fergie, where Fergie just tried too hard to
I
get
don't
too
even remember
cute.
her doing
Oh,
it.
my
Everybody
God.
said that
I
she
was at
can
that
rest
one.
easily. Now she's good. This girl got her off the hook.
The Fergie, Fergie was NBA All-Star a few years ago.
And Draymond was laughing at her.
I think it was L.A. I was at the game.
Yeah.
And we
Oh,
were
you
like-
was there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was
it
at
was
the All-Star
terrible.
game, and we were like, "Oh my God!"
Did
what
you
is
laugh?
going on? Well, we were just like, "Is this a joke? Like, what is?" It was really bad. It was
like
really
we
bad.
had a guy, we had one of the coaches at the World Series for our Little League. We had one of the coaches play the national anthem on his guitar. This is a Little League coach playing the national anthem on his guitar. It was a million times better than this woman who sang at the Major League Baseball home run derby. That being said, Jose Ramirez got past the first round, but he got
did.
eliminated in the semifinals, and it was a good final round. I only watched Jose, and then I came back and watched a few minutes of the end. I'm kind of done with the home run derby. I only paid attention because Jose was in it this year.
Who won it? Because I
It
had
was
seen.
Oscar Hernandez.
Okay, so he's the
I think it was
first.
14-13 in the
He's
first
the
round.
first
in the last round.
Dodger ever to win it, right?
Correct.
My boys were big into it. We had it on last night. We watched
Yeah.
most of it. Pete Alonso disappointed me. I was expecting.
Well,
a big
he's the
performance.
how many times has he won?
Twice.
Two, only two. It feels like more.
Yeah.
But he got some bad pitches too. Like it's so
Well,
much.
they picked their own pitchers.
I know,
so, you
and
know.
so much of this I didn't
Set him
realize.
up.
Even if you don't swing, it still counts as a pitch. So you
That's new this year. That's new this
you
year.
only get what would they get? 40 pitches,
Yep, that's new this year.
and like if you don't swing or it's a bad pitch,
Yeah.
well that still counts against
Yeah,
you. So that's puts a lot
they
of
should
pressure
just
on
have
it.
less. It should just be like 10 swings. That's it. Let's
Yeah.
go. Keep it moving. It's too long.
It definitely was long.
It is too
They
long.
make it long because they want to get all their commercials in. That's why. That's the only reason. Because it's way too long.
I was watching it when Hernandez was going on the second round.
Yeah.
He had like 4 home runs and he took a break.
Right.
And he must have came and killed it because I thought
Yeah,
that there
yeah,
was
yeah.
no way he was going to win. And I was wrong.
The break helped them out.
That's one of those events that's much better to be at than on TV. There's some events that are made for TV that suck to be at.
Yeah.
I would argue NFL games are way better on TV than they are to be at.
I never go to NFL games.
But home run derby and golf on TV.
Wow.
Golf in person is great.
Golf can be fun. Hockey's also better in person.
I hear that. I've never been, but they say
Hockey's
it is
fun in
so
person.
fast to
it
see
is.
them people.
Hockey on TV is boring as hell.
But that event last night, home run derby on TV ain't great.
It's brutal.
Home run derby in person is fun.
I've never done it. I didn't go to the one
awesome.
here, but
Yeah,
I would
the one
imagine
here.
that would be fun.
The All-Star game is tonight, Bull, 8
Yes, it
o'clock.
is.
The only game in town, and 5 Guardians are participating. What are you looking forward to most from tonight's All-Star game, featuring Jose, Stephen Kwan, David Fry, Josh Naylor, and Emmanuel Clase?
I just don't want any of their guys to get hurt, frankly. That's it. I kind of wish David Fry and Emmanuel Clase weren't even playing, because David Fry is in a massive slump right now, and I don't want Emmanuel Clase throwing any pitches.
Well, they've had enough days off around it. I want Clase on the mound in the ninth.
Yes,
I want him to get the save.
He's earned that right
Yes,
to
he
get the
has.
save if they haven't. They're the home team.
Yes.
He's earned that right. But to me, the most important thing is nobody getting hurt in this game. None of those guys.
See, first of all, y'all wrong. You're right. I don't want nobody to get hurt. You're right on that part. But I need to see Jose get out of his slump, because I feel like he hasn't been really hitting him and Kwan. They haven't
he hit
been
72 homers last night. So what else do you
I
want?
want him to hit one when it matters in the game. That's what I want to see. I want the game. You know what I want to see? I want it to be, you say they the home team. I want them to be down 1 going into the ninth, the bottom of the ninth. And I want Stephen Kwan to be on second.
Yeah, but they won't be in the game. Kwan and Ramirez will be out of
They'll
the
be
game.
out of the
by
game.
then.
You think?
Oh yeah.
Nobody plays the whole game in the All-Star game.
Well, I need them.
you're at a
I
loss
need a
tonight.
I need a 2 home run.
Yeah.
Two
home run?
2-run homer.
Maybe in like the 4th inning.
Maybe
can still get you
early.
MVP.
I got to get it early.
Yeah.
Oh, my MVP. Listen, my boy Chris, bet with Chris on IG. He told me that you need to take Skeens plus 3,000 on.
He's not going to win the MVP
FanDuel.
pitching one
He's
inning.
gonna
That's what he
pitch
told
one
me.
inning.
That's what he said. He said
He's
take
out of his
it.
mind.
So
Speaking
there,
of
go
Skeens,
for it.
though, something I am interested to see. In the bottom of the first, Paul Skeens is going to face Stephen Kwan as his first batter. So you've got right now the guy who may be the best strikeout pitcher in baseball against maybe the hardest guy to strike out in baseball.
Yeah.
That should be a fascinating at-bat because Skeens is starting the All-Star game against who got picked for the American? Oh,
Burns.
Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
Which I think Tarek Skubal should have been the starter. It's close between those two.
Yeah.
I would have gone with Skubal. I think they went with Burns because the Orioles are a better team.
Probably.
So
Yeah,
I guess that's
probably.
fair. But anyway, yeah, that's it. So you always want your guys to get hits and contribute, but just stay healthy.
I just want to see somebody. I want to see
Somebody hit a home
go
run.
yard. I
Yeah.
do. Naylor, Fry.
Fry may not get in the game.
Yeah,
I feel like he won't either. For
both
some
teams
reason.
usually keep like one emergency player,
Right. And
And
because
Fry is probably the emergency player.
he can play so many different positions if
Right.
there is emergency, and
Yeah.
because he's not the name that some of the other guys are.
Right.
But
I
when
think there's a
I
decent
feel-
chance he doesn't get in.
I feel like at least he's there. Like you.
Yeah,
Gotta
yeah.
at least
Oh,
let- You got to at least let
Hey,
him.
you're an all-star, man.
I
He
would bet
got to take a swing or something. He got to at least do something.
it wouldn't surprise. It's maybe he's a guy who, let's say the American League is losing in the ninth inning by a couple of runs, and it's not likely to go into extra innings. Maybe he gets the bat in the bottom of the
Right.
ninth, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's the Naylor will play. They'll give Naylor.
Oh, yeah.
He's got to play.
Oh, yeah.
And Clase will probably play, although maybe if it's a blowout one way or the other, which is not common. But
Yeah, so I don't think
who
that
knows? But
happens.
anyway, Mike, let's move on. Let's move it on. We got because we'll have more baseball by the end of the week. Not much going on right now.
Yeah, we got more baseball. We got Mitch Canham, the Oregon State head coach, manager, coming on here
Travis
at 12
Bazzana
to talk
at noon,
about
yeah.
Travis Bazzana and everything he brings to the organization. We're going to talk Browns for 1 sec. If you want to go to tonight's All-Star game, though, if you haven't bought your ticket yet, and you could get on a flight to Arlington ASAP, there's no better place to buy the ticket to tonight's All-Star game than with Game Time. It's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier, and prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, so there's no cheaper way to buy tickets to tonight's All-Star game than with the Game Time app. They have priority, last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, so you can save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time pick out the seats. So take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Bull, Dustin Hopkins is sticking in Cleveland for the next couple of seasons. He signed a new 3-year, $15.9 million extension, which makes him one of the 5 highest-paid kickers in the NFL, ties him to Cleveland through the 2027 season. And I'm curious how you guys feel about the contract, and then how you feel about what that means for Amari Cooper's future.
Now, the first couple things when I first reacted to this, and then I thought about it. My first reaction was, why on earth would you pay a lot of money to a kicker? Most kickers are interchangeable, unless you have a Justin Tucker or a couple of special guys like that, which he's not. Dustin Hopkins has been really a average at best kicker before last year. And then he had a tremendous season for the Browns, and then he got hurt at the end of the year. So there you go. But you look at his career numbers, I mean, they're not amazing. In fact, if you take out last year, his career field goal percentage is not particularly great. So I don't love the idea of paying a kicker. My second thought was, if I'm Amari Cooper, and I've seen all these guys get paid this offseason, and now the freaking kicker gets paid, I'm pissed off. Now, in the end, the best thing about Jimmy Haslam being the owner, there's negatives to him being an owner, but the best thing about Jimmy Haslam being the owner of the Browns is that he seems to not give a rat's ass about spending money. And as a fan base, you like that. Mm-hmm. He will spend. He doesn't care. The Browns just spend. And so for other teams, spending significant money on a kicker to make him the 5th highest paid kicker could be a problem. It could potentially affect another position. With the Browns, that doesn't seem to be the case, so I guess it's not a big deal. And as Jason pointed out, we haven't seen the guaranteed money yet. So maybe there's probably no guaranteed money past next year.
Until we see the guarantees, there's no story here.
I don't understand paying a kicker, but whatever. I guess it doesn't matter. But wouldn't you be pissed if you're Amari Cooper right now? Everybody else has gotten paid by the Browns, pretty much.
It takes 2 to tango. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a number the Browns would sign Amari Cooper to right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
But that's so you're saying maybe Amari's being unreasonable?
I'm not saying he's being unreasonable. I'm just saying it takes 2 sides to make a deal.
Okay.
And I'm sure there's a number the Browns would sign right now.
I agree.
And it's probably much lower than what Amari wants.
Right.
So you get things like the kicker getting signed instead. But I don't care about this deal until I see the guaranteed dollars. This NFL means the money means nothing until you know what's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's true.
It could be, I mean, if it's a $23 million deal, $3 million could be guaranteed.
Right.
So who cares?
My guess is all the money for this year is guaranteed,
probably,
which who cares?
Yeah.
And probably a little for next year, and that's probably it. So it's probably not a big deal.
Right.
And as we know, Jimmy will spend and he'd spend. He doesn't matter. He doesn't care.
The Amari can piece to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can speak to this better than anybody, but I mean, Amari wants paid. And I'm sure he wants a lot more than what the Browns, and I get it. I get why the Browns are hesitant to go there with him.
It's because of his age. Yeah, that's it. That's the only reason.
That is the only reason.
Yeah.
Wait, I got a potential guaranteed number. According to Over the Cap, which does a pretty good job tracking these things down.
They're very good. They're very good.
$8.362 million of Hopkins' $15.9 million contract is guaranteed, so more than half.
That's higher than I thought it would be. But it's still
probably only
about
2
half.
years, though.
It's still about half. Yeah, it's
2
probably
years.
this year.
I'm fine if it's just 2 years.
What's the number for this year?
What is it, 3-year deal?
5.3 for this year?
It's 5.3 average.
Yeah.
Okay. So if he's getting 5.5 guaranteed this year and 2.5 guaranteed next year.
It's fine. It's fine.
Something like that.
I just don't trust a kicker like him year to year. Would it surprise you if he wasn't that good this year? It wouldn't surprise me.
My thought when I first seen it was that K. York, they just got him back, and I thought that they were trying to.
Yeah, you thought there might be a real competition. Now clearly there's not.
Yeah, but I mean, I honestly look at this situation the same way I look at the Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy situation. Dustin, you're a really good kicker, but you're getting up there in age, and at some point we feel like you might teeter off. K. York, obviously he started off, he's young, we drafted him, so we do owe him a little bit of loyalty there. We cut him, but we was able to get him back. And we can get him to learn under you for those 2 years and then
but
put him
the
in.
difference is, in the
good.
Jerry Jeudy situation, it was Jerry Jeudy that got paid. And not the veteran.
But I'm just saying, I'm saying from a business standpoint, they're taking these veterans and bringing in guys to groom up these young guys so they can just give them the keys, which is what you're supposed to do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, in reality though, K. York is probably going to get cut. at some point.
He'll be practice squad, and another team will pick him up.
Practice squad, yeah.
So he may not be here.
Yeah.
But if I'm Amari Cooper, I'm frustrated right now.
Sure.
Now,
You should be.
because I'm like, we've seen in the last 2 years, you've seen a ton of players on this team get paid who have not accomplished nearly what Amari Cooper is. Amari Cooper has had the best 2-year stretch by a pass catcher in the history of this franchise.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper.
Think about that for a minute.
Amari Cooper is coming off of his best season yards-wise, and he had his best game of his career, single game, yards-wise. So I understand why, why do you think I'm going to slow down if I just put these up just this year? He don't think he's going to slow down. So I don't blame him for wanting to get his money. I really don't. I'm interested to see how deep this goes. Like, are you willing to sit down and sit out a game of the season? That's to me, that's the only way that I feel like he gonna get it. But you rolling the dice there because they go out against Dallas. Dallas secondary is pretty good. They got some really good players in their secondary. They go out there against Dallas, and Jerry Jeudy is held to 2 catches for 18 yards, and the Browns lose by 21 points. Then Amari Cooper will be like, so you ready to make that deal? You ready to make that deal or not?
So you think he's going to hold out training camp?
Yes. First of all, what veteran want to do that? Who wants to go through training camp anyway?
Jason, you agree with that? You think he's going to hold out for training camp?
I have no idea, but I mean, it's reasonable.
When is Veterans
You're right.
Report
They
Day,
don't
Mike?
Who wants to go to
Can you
training
double check
camp?
That? Is it the 25th? I can't remember the exact day. I want to say it's the 24th or the 25th.
Do Amari Cooper need to be at training camp?
Absolutely not.
So do you need to see Amari Cooper in the preseason?
No.
So why would he show up?
If I'm Amari Cooper, I probably wouldn't. If I thought the Browns were a lowball.
24th bowl.
If he really
24th?
If he really serious about this money, like if it's really gonna go there, because if you're gonna go there, you got to do it now, because this is it. Like this is the only. If you really want to be in Cleveland and you feel like Cleveland is the place you want to get paid from, that's the only way you got to force their hand. And it's unfortunate that this is where the business part. You got to take all your personal feelings, throw them to the side. It's not about Deshaun. It ain't about anybody on that roster. You cool with all of them. Them your brothers. But this is the business standpoint that I hate it. I hate. You got to sit out and you got to tell them, listen, you need me more than I need you right now, and somebody got to blink first.
And I do think that's true. I think the Browns need Amari Cooper more than Amari Cooper needs the Browns.
Have you seen the rest of their depth chart?
I have. I don't trust anybody else in their receiving corps. Amari Cooper, when healthy, is a sure thing.
But I don't think, I get that the Browns don't want to they don't want to get what they might see as a bad contract, to where if let's say we pay him 3 or 4 years and he declines in 2 years, it's like, that's why we didn't want to pay him to begin with.
Well, I don't even think Amari Cooper is expecting guaranteed money for 3-4 years. I can't imagine he's expecting that. I think if you gave him guaranteed money for this year and next, that's above what he's already supposed to make for this year.
I don't think that's
that's enough if they paid him significantly.
Because I feel like they would do that.
Year. You're adding 1 year.
But you're also adding more. Like, how much is he supposed to get paid this year? 17? What's he getting paid this year, Amari?
Is cap hit or what he's actually getting paid?
What's going in his pocket? I don't care about his cap.
What's going in his pocket?
Yeah.
According to Over the Cap,
which
once again is the best in the business at this.
Yeah.
For the 2024 season, his base salary is $20 million.
Woo! 20 mil.
And he has a prorated signing bonus of 3.776.
No, I don't think that's already paid.
It's just
so he's getting $20 million. If you went to Amari and said, "We'll give you an extra $5 million guaranteed this year. We'll give you $25 million guaranteed next year, and then a third year, $25 million, $5 million of that's guaranteed." You don't think he'd sign that?
I tell you, I'll counter back and say 10. What would you say?
In the end, I would cave. I would,
and that's why you're not an NFL GM.
So $60 million in 3 years?
Yeah.
You got yourself a deal, buddy. You got yourself a deal.
There you go. I'd be a good GM because I'm smarter than most of the idiots that are GMs in the league. I believe that. I mean, I do.
I know you do. I don't doubt that you believe that. I don't know if it's true.
But let me ask you this. Say we sign that deal and then next year I give you nothing.
Like Amari. I backed you up, man.
Say it declined this year. Like I don't got it no more. It's over.
I think that's the chance you take. Listen, they paid David. I know a lot of these guys are younger, but they paid David Njoku who had been at best an average tight end.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. Steve, let me see the camera. That brings me to a point. You know, since you brought up such a great point about how the Browns paid a young David Njoku at the time, since seeing that, you know, we're getting ready to kick this thing off soon, and, you know, I still have not received my contract, which is great because, you know, we got time to talk about some things. It would be so nice that you look at me as a young broadcaster in this game.
But that means you work in the media.
Shut up. Young broadcaster in this game, young analyst, you know, that just does a great job of breaking the game down and saying how the athletes are feeling and what goes through their mind that these fans can relate to. I feel like that you should definitely compensate that kid. You know, not break the bank, not like that. You know, just a couple more dollars, maybe $100 or $200 more dollars in my contract. You know, I would be greatly appreciative.
Who are you talking to, by the way?
So if the Browns PR is watching this, you know, holla at me.
What if they put in the contract language specifically stating that you are a member of the media? Would you sign it?
Oh, you get more money. You get more money, but you have to
admit that you're a media member.
Yes.
No. No, I'm not.
Liar.
Because I'm not in the
How
media.
much more money
media
would they have to give you to sign that agreement? They signed Jack Conklin, which even at the time looked like a contract that made no sense.
Yeah.
They've re-signed Grant Delpit. They've re-signed. Who else have they re-signed in the last couple?
But
of years?
all these guys are young. That's the biggest difference.
Jerry Jeudy.
Young.
Jack Conklin's not young.
Well, they messed up, and they know they did.
I think that was assessing the market and seeing that there's just not a lot of tackles.
What you talking?
I agree with
what
that.
you talking
I
about
agree.
right now is why Amari Cooper is in the situation he's in.
What do you mean?
We paid this old guy, and he's on the decline.
Well,
So now
But
we
he also
scared
had
to
an
pay.
injury history. Conklin did.
Amari
gets
Amari's
dinged
got-
every
he
year.
gets dinged,
Yeah.
but not to the extent.
He plays, but you can tell when he's not right.
Okay, but like it's not like the guy has missed a significant amount of time. By the way, Browns training camp starts 1 week from tomorrow. The veterans will report 1 week from tomorrow on the 24th. So there you go with that. It'd be interesting to see if Amari Cooper, they come to an agreement in the next week, which at the moment doesn't seem very likely. Although, to be fair, a lot of these Browns extensions have come out of nowhere. I mean, we didn't hear about most of them before they happened, including the Dustin Hopkins extension. And if they can't figure things out in the next week, does he show up on the 24th? That'll be a storyline we're all keeping an eye on. By the way, there are 5 draft picks that are still unsigned as rookie camps are about to start.
You know what?
Including Caleb Williams.
I take back what I said.
What do you take
about Amari not showing up? Amari, you should 100% show up to camp. Don't touch the field not one time. But
just hang out.
You should be there because it is new playbook and stuff going in.
That's true.
He needs to see it and need to talk.
Nothing on the field.
I would not touch the field.
That does make
I
more
would be
sense.
in the building and I would not touch the field.
It's like a whole. It's
a hold
and
in.
you also lose money with holding out.
Yeah, you do.
So it's a hold in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would come on and come
call.
report, but don't touch the field.
Those hold-ins are really effective, let me tell you.
They're not.
No. Didn't Kareem try a hold-in? Kareem Hunt?
Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah, wasn't it Kareem? Somebody did. I think it was Kareem.
I think it was. That sounds familiar.
Doesn't Amari Cooper have more leverage than Kareem
I'm
Hunt
just
did,
saying,
though?
hold-ins don't really.
But I don't want him to get fined, though.
The only person obsessed with Kareem Hunt is Jay Crawford.
Who is more obsessed, Jay with Kareem Hunt or Garrett with Amani Bates?
Oh, definitely
G.
Garrett. That's not even close.
But yeah, I don't want him to lose no money. And like I say, if he does decide to at some point play this season, he do needs to be able to understand the playbook, understand the language and stuff like that, because things might have changed.
I don't fault Amari at all.
I don't either.
Like, get every dollar you can. But I also see the Brown side. Like, two things can be true. And that makes this tough. Like
That's
tough
why I say
spot.
somebody got to blink on this.
Yeah.
But do they?
Yeah.
He's under contract for this year. If he wants to sit out and not get paid all year,
At the end of the day, are you willing to sabotage your season to prove a point?
I'm not. No.
The Browns will.
That's
my point.
Amari's leverage is the Browns depth chart.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The Browns leverage is
even if
yeah.
Even if Jerry Jeudy comes out and have a great season, he'll just look like Amari Cooper has for the past 2 years. He ain't got no help.
Best case scenario.
Unless number 8 do his thing, which I'm highly expecting that Elijah Moore have the most bounce back season I've ever seen, because he's going to make me look like a genius on this panel.
I don't believe you believe that. I refuse to believe that. All right, Mike, go ahead.
We're going to move on to our next Browns topic, but as you guys know, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to us by one of our best sponsors, BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest, big or small, and certain things can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I bet you Amari Cooper is sitting back and thinking, man, I can't believe Hopkins got a contract extension before me. I need someone to talk to get my frustration out. And that's why there's a chance Amari Cooper, just like us here at the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, is very passionate about making sure people get the help they need with BetterHelp. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us has bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get things off our chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon and get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp. HELP.com/lockedon. So on Monday, Baker Mayfield was a guest on the Pardon My Take podcast. It is one of Barstool's podcasts with Barstool Big Cat and PFT commenter. And they talked about a ton of things throughout his career since the last time he had been on the show, including the end of his tenure here with the Cleveland Browns. And I want to play you guys a little snippet from that interview with Pardon My Take. It's about 2 minutes. This is Baker talking about the final season he had with the Cleveland Browns. Steve?
Like the last year in Cleveland, as banged up as I was, like looking back, like everything, I truly believe everything happens for a reason. Played through injuries and whatnot. Like, and I wouldn't change it now, obviously. But in the midst of it, should I have probably gotten surgery and sat out? Yeah, probably. But you know what? I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
And so it got me to this point, and I learned a lot of lessons about, quite honestly, how damn stubborn I am.
Yeah.
But then getting to LA was that started I needed, and then going to Tampa last year and just trying to meet everybody, get that chemistry going, and it's a great spot.
Yeah.
I understand like why people want to be there.
I remember when it was happening with the Browns, we were saying it at the time. We're like, Baker's toughness is actually hurting him because he's so hurt, but he's still out there. And then everyone's like, oh, Baker sucks. It's like, dude, he's so hurt.
Yeah. No, I like watching the film from those games like now. Because after I got surgery, I had to reteach myself my throwing motion. Like got with a coach and redid everything because I had manufactured having an arm stuck to my body, leg was all beat up too. It's just so many things and factors that, like I said, hindsight's 20/20. But I was a stubborn asshole.
Yeah,
but it's damned if you do, damned if you don't sometimes.
Yeah.
Because if you take yourself out and you say, okay, I need surgery, and then people are like, well, which shoulder is it? It was your non-throwing one, right?
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm getting surgery on my non-throwing shoulder. There'll be people that are like, Baker's not tough.
Yeah.
He should have played through this.
Yeah.
But then you play through it, and you're obviously impacted by it.
Yeah, and I think part of it was partially like feeling like I was a part of the Cleveland community and like the blue collar attitude of like, we're going to fight through this. It's not like I'm blaming the Cleveland people by any means, but like I feel like that's just that attitude that we had going into it, and everybody kind of embraced it. But I wasn't able to play to the best of my ability by any means.
Well, half of what he said makes no. He keeps saying I should have had surgery, but I would have done it differently.
The whole thing makes my head hurt.
Oh,
I know what you're going to say.
Go ahead.
But before you say it,
Yeah.
we need to get back to reality.
Yeah.
Of what was going on at the time. Number one, he didn't have a contract. He was playing for a contract.
Yeah.
And the team needed to see what he could do in order to give him a contract. Remember how early in the season he got hurt? Had they been convinced he was the guy, they would have signed him that prior summer. Right. They didn't have enough information. They needed more information to see if they wanted to commit to him long term. And then he gets hurt in what, week 2, week 3, or whatever it was?
It was the Houston game, right?
They didn't have enough information. So if you go out and you have the surgery, he's probably gone anyway because they don't have any more information. And the information they had before the injury was this guy's not good enough. So they needed another season to see. They didn't get that. That's why they kept running him out there. And the decision to run him out there went way above Kevin Stefanski. That was made by the people above him because they were trying to make a decision on what you commit to this guy long term, if you do or not. Beyond all of that, you can't blame an injury that didn't exist for how bad he was when the game was on the line when he was healthy.
Yeah.
I wrote this after the. I just want this one stat. Remember the Chiefs game, opening week? He played out of his mind in the first half. Everything looked great.
And then he couldn't get the game winning.
And then you got to have it from him. And when you got to have it from him, he doesn't deliver. This was before the shoulder injury. This was after that Chiefs game. After that week 1 game that they lost at Kansas City. There were 12 games where the Browns trailed by 7 points or less with 4 minutes to go. He was 27 of 49 in those instances with 367 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, and they won 3 of those games. And he had a quarterback rating of 67. So to boil that all down, and got to have it moments when you got to have your quarterback at your best, down by 1 score or less with 4 minutes to go, he had a quarterback rating of 67 and threw 5 interceptions. And we saw it again last year with Tampa Bay. What happened in the playoff game? Yeah. He played great until you had to have him on the last drive. And what did he do? He turned the ball over.
Yeah,
that's who he is. I don't care about the stupid shoulder injury. I'm sure it hurt. I'm sure he was in pain. I have no doubt about it. But my God, he sucked when he was healthy. He wasn't any good when he was healthy. So why are we still talking about this?
It is crazy at this point. Like, here's what happened. So Baker had his moments here where he played really well.
Yes.
He had his moments.
Yes.
Here. And for essentially 25 years, really more than that, close to 30 years, we know how passionate the fan base is in this town. The fans love, eat, sleep, breathe football. That's a cliche. Like Baker used about 8,000 cliches in that clip. But that's a cliche, but it's true. Football is life in this city. Fans' moods, their attitudes in the fall are always factored. A big factor is how the Browns play, right? And for 30 years, essentially, every football fan in this town saw nothing but shit quarterback play. Essentially for 30 years. Yes, Tim Couch had a couple of moments. Derek Anderson had the one great year. Brian Hoyer had about 5 good weeks. Here and there. But for the most part, for 30 years, there was absolute trash quarterback play. So now Baker comes in. As a rookie, he did a nice job. Mm-hmm. Like, he wasn't great. He was very good for a rookie.
Yes.
He had his moments.
Did he break the record for touchdowns?
Yes. He did, which has since been broken, but he did break it.
Justin Herbert right? Shattered it.
He had his moments where he looked good. Second year, didn't play particularly well. Third year, played very well. They go to the playoffs. He had his moments. Still was not clutch when it mattered.
Right.
Consistently. But after 3 years, even before that 4th year where it all came apart, in those first 3 years, as mediocre as it was from rational people, for fans that had only seen awful football and awful quarterbacks for 30 years, it seemed like such an improvement.
Yes.
And it's like, don't mess with it. We actually have a competent quarterback. Baker Mayfield, when healthy, is a competent quarterback.
Yes, he is.
He is a competent quarterback. There is no doubt about it. And the Browns had not had a competent quarterback since Bernie Kosar, who was better than competent, but that's it. And so there was this fear that we went 30 years with nothing at the position, and that if we lose Baker, we're going to go back to 30 years of garbage.
Derek Anderson had a really good.
He had the 1 year, but it was 1 year.
And they missed the playoffs.
I know.
It was so good they missed the playoffs.
They missed, which is rare with 10 wins, but and I think that's a big part of the obsession with Baker. But as you said, I have never seen a quarterback, really any player in the NFL, talk more about his injuries than Baker Mayfield. Forget the fans, forget the media. Baker Mayfield has talked more about this injury, I think, than any player has ever talked about an injury in the history of sports. It is unbelievable. What he is saying there is, my one terrible year, because that was the only year he was absolutely dreadful, is only because of injury. That's it. Patrick, I know it's one game. I can give you a million other examples. 2 years ago, in the AFC Championship game, the Bengals and Chiefs played. And I don't know if you guys remember this, but remember the week before against Jacksonville, Patrick Mahomes had the high ankle sprain. Could barely move. They took him out of the game, okay?
He came back, didn't he? Didn't he come back in that game?
No, I don't think he came back in that game. He came back the next week.
He did not come back against Jacksonville.
Well.
He came back the next week.
Okay.
But he talked about it in the quarterback show in depth of how much rehab and prep work he had to get ready just to be able to play.
Right. Now, the next week he's playing the Bengals. The only team that had handled him well in this point in his career. That he had struggled at times against the Bengals defense. Burrow had great success against him. Against them. And yet, barely being able to move. And his ability to move is, Baker's talking about, I had to learn how to throw with my non-throwing shoulder close to me. You don't think if it affected Patrick Mahomes to not be able to move? He couldn't move in that game against a team that had his number. And what did he do?
Had to run it to get them to win. And he
won the game.
He got some help.
Now, I get it.
Got a little
Patrick Mahomes
help.
is way more talented than Baker Mayfield. Quarterbacks, you know this better than anybody. Players play hurt all the time, do they not?
Yes.
With injuries as serious as Baker had.
Yes.
And for him to keep talking about it.
Now, in fairness, I think those guys are idiots. I don't watch that podcast. But did they bring it up or did he?
I don't know.
I don't want to kill him.
It came up. They said, so they interviewed him when they were here for what they call Grit Week, when he was on Hard Knocks, so the season in Hard Knocks. They interviewed him again, I think, in 2020. It's the third time they've interviewed him, but the first time since all this happened. So that was the beginning of the interview, and said, well, Baker, a lot of stuff's happened since then, and Baker then essentially led into that answer.
If he brings it up himself, then that's bad. That's a bad look for him. If they bring it up and he's just responding, then you give him a break.
But it doesn't even make sense what he said, though. He goes, I should have had surgery, but I wouldn't have
change
done it
anything. Yeah, I know.
What do you mean you wouldn't change anything?
So I think y'all two have went completely
crazy.
I didn't look at it like that. I think when I listen to that, it shows me that it's a sign of maturity and some growing up. You know, it's one of those things. It's like a Kyrie situation to where you want to be the man, and one of these situations too. Now he looks back on it and he's had some time to reflect. He's had some ups and downs. He went to LA, had the one game, but then things weren't great. Now he's in Tampa Bay. He's got his contract, so now he feels secure. You know, all these other years he hasn't had no security. So now he feels some sense of security, and now he's reflecting like, you know what, maybe I could have done that better. You know, I could have done this and I could have gotten this surgery. Yeah, I shouldn't have been playing. All of those things. It's nice to admit those things because, like I said, you watch it and you can tell like I can't do what I was supposed to be doing, so I shouldn't have been out there. And really, it should have been an apology to the people because to his teammates, which I always said, you're doing your teammates a disservice. We out here busting our butts to try to make sure we win this game, and you just handicapping us. Yeah. Like, if you can't play, if you know that you can't do the things that you're supposed to do, you need to get out the way and let somebody else do it. So at least we know that guy's healthy enough to make those plays.
Had he had a long-term contract,
he would have done it.
Yeah. He would have had the surgery.
Yeah, he would have done it easily.
And the Browns would have shut him down and told him to.
So it was a stupid decision by both sides.
I agree with that.
Tyvis, there were a couple of games along the way where he played decent games.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't every game was bad.
I agree with that.
So every time he played a decent game, it was like, well, we give him credit. And then every time he played poorly, the excuse was the injury. And I'm just sick of hearing it. There's guys who play all the time with injuries. We're not making excuses for all them all the time. That's it. Baker's a competent NFL quarterback. Good for him in Tampa Bay. I'm not going to lie. I want him to fail. I want him to have a terrible season.
Really?
I'm 100% being honest.
I don't have that animosity.
I have hate in my heart.
I don't have animosity towards.
I don't root bad on anybody.
I do.
But I do agree with the fact that he said, you know, being in Cleveland, folks, is blue collar. Like that is like. It don't matter. That's how I was. It don't matter what. I had my wrist broken the game, right in the middle of the game, and I said, I'm still gonna play. I ain't coming out the game. Like I get it. So I get why he's. But if it ever was something to where, like, if it was like a knee and I couldn't run with the receiver anymore, I'm not about. I'm coming out the game.
You were fighting for your career every time.
He was too.
No, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
He already made life-changing money.
He tried to break the bank.
I understand that, but Your situation and his situation are not the same.
$20 million can go like this.
You were fighting for your life in the league.
True story.
He had already made $15 million.
I was fighting for my life so bad that my last preseason game in Dallas, I pulled my hamstring and I said, if we just play cover 3, don't put me in no man, but if you put me in cover 3, I can still play.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And they looked at me like, you out.
Yeah, right.
You out. We
ain't
putting you back.
Right. I don't know. I'm sick of Baker's shenanigans. And I also think I've always found him to be phony. I think that it's fake maturity. I don't buy it. I still think he'll be
you just don't like. Just say you don't like the guy.
And you compared him to Kyrie Irving.
He said that multiple times.
I think Kyrie Irving's a phony too. I don't believe his maturity. I mean, Kyrie Irving's a nitwit, and Baker whatever.
But do you believe in personal growth?
Of course.
So you
But
don't
you
see
won't give
that?
them the benefit of the doubt.
No, I got to see it longer. Kyrie Irving's a nitwit. I mean, he thinks the Earth's flat. I mean, he's a nitwit. I can't,
I don't think he thinks the Earth is.
You don't really think so?
He hasn't said anything lately. He's actually been saying all the right things.
He has been.
So like that's personal growth.
I think Baker's a phoney. I don't buy his personal growth.
Actually, I get it. Look, he's a guy that's passionate about the game, and he will speak his mind. But I
got more conspiracy theories for you.
It does seem to me that he's, like I said, once you sign that contract, he's not trying to prove anything anymore.
All right.
Like I'm good.
Now it's going to be interesting this year because Baker's career so far has been like this, right?
Up and down. Every year, one year is good, the next year is bad.
He had back-to-back good years because he was pretty solid last year.
He was, and they didn't pay him.
But
so
as
he
Jason
got
said, of course, when it mattered the most.
Until you need him.
Yeah.
And then where is he?
He doesn't come through. All right, Mikey, what do you got?
Well, in 10 minutes, we'll be joined by Oregon State manager Mitch Canham to talk about Bazzana. But I am curious, the second side of the conversation about the Baker Mayfield clip, I did want to ask you guys, and Jason kind of alluded to it. In a hypothetical world where he did get the surgery, and I understand the contract situation is the reason why it didn't, so you have to kind of warp reality for the sake of this. Where are the Browns today if he does get surgery and Baker's still the quarterback?
I don't think he would have still been the quarterback. In fact, I don't think anything changes. I know it's hard to remember now because it was 2 years ago, but the Browns had Baker Mayfield is what he is. He's a mediocre quarterback. He's a serviceable quarterback, whatever you want to call it. Are there 32 quarterbacks in the league better than Baker? No. He should be a starter in the NFL, but he's not a good enough starter to win a Super Bowl with. In this era of football, I'm not going to say 10 or 8, whatever. There's a dividing line somewhere between 7 or 12 or 13 where you got to have one of those quarterbacks. I don't know. Every year it may change where that line ends. Baker's never inside that line. He never will be inside that line until I'm proven otherwise. Until he can win more than one playoff game in a season, I'm never going to believe it. When the Browns had a chance to get Deshaun Watson, it was a no-brainer. Because Deshaun Watson in Houston had been fantastic. Not serviceable, not good. He'd been fantastic. And a lot of people, myself included, thought after the 2020 season that Deshaun Watson was the second best quarterback in the NFL after Patrick Mahomes. Now in Cleveland, Deshaun Watson's been awful.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people who are conning themselves, again, I think girl's one of them, into making excuses and, shining a light in dark corners to find the 3 stats that make Deshaun Watson look good. Everybody with eyes knows Deshaun Watson's been terrible in Cleveland. But it's not too late to turn around. And most importantly, at the time, there was nobody with a rational brain that would have rather had Baker Mayfield than Deshaun Watson at the time. Deshaun Watson was a million times better. There was no reason to believe those two would be close. But at this point, it hasn't worked out.
Wait a minute. What was Mikey? What was the question again?
What would have changed that? He had surgery.
If he had surgery, what would have changed? Well, he still had no contract, so if he would have
had the 5th-year option,
They had a 5th-year option on him.
Okay, so the Browns would have probably been forced to pick up his 5th-year option.
Which they did because they had to trade him to Carolina.
Yeah, they would have picked up his 5th-year option. At the time, they traded for Amari Cooper, correct? Amari Cooper got traded for.
No, he never played with Amari.
No, but if he would have been on the 5th-year option, he would have had.
Yes.
He would have played with Amari.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that would have helped a lot. But see, this is my thing. That's my thing with Baker, is that I don't necessarily think it would. They did everything they could to get the talent around them. Getting Jarvis, getting Odell, and getting Njoku. They did everything to get the talent around them. And then we seen Odell leave, and obviously he scored touchdowns, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And the thing that got me the most, and this is where I started growing respect for Kevin Stefanski, because Kevin would come out there and he would always say, it's on me. I got to do a better job of getting Odell the ball. You go back and watch them games, them receivers are wide open.
Oh, yeah.
Baker just not getting them the ball. So let's flip it and say Amari Cooper was the receiver. Amari's always wide open.
Yeah.
If Baker ain't getting and didn't get Odell the ball, would that mean he wouldn't have got Amari the ball? So they pretty much would have been in the same situation anyway. So I think at some point they would have been like, we got to move off, and they would have moved off of him anyway.
I still think, yes, I think they would have moved
Yeah,
off
they would
him
have moved
anyway.
off of him anyway.
The Browns have a philosophy when get in early, be the ones that get in on an extension early, and we've sort of seen that play out with Judy and with
Njoku.
Hopkins and Njoku. Like, when they believe in you, they're going to get in early.
Yeah.
As soon as they could, they extended Miles. As soon as they could, they extended Nick Chubb. They did not with Baker. They told you without telling you what they thought about this guy. So I still think it probably ends the same way. Obviously, the factors that lead to it would be different, but I still think it ends with them trying to upgrade the position. I agreed with the idea of moving on from Baker, trying to get better at that spot. I never killed them for going after Deshaun because I understood the thought behind it. But I also think, and let's see how the rest of this plays out, but it could be a very valuable teaching moment of when people tell you something, listen to them. And we saw it with Monty Williams in Detroit, where he told them no until they added enough to zeros to where he said yes. We saw it with Mike Holmgren here, where they just gave him an overwhelming offer to the point that he said, okay, fine. And both of those were disasters.
Yeah.
And Deshaun told them no, and they just kept talking to him until he said yes. When they tell you no, listen to him. But let's see. This could still turn.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It could we haven't seen enough
It's
to
this
point.
year. I mean, this year's the last chance.
Yeah. And like, you got to get better than just okay quarterback. You had okay quarterback play with Baker.
Yes.
We just talked about that. You made this move to get elite. They have not gotten elite.
That's simple.
And we'll see if they get it this year or not.
I mean, you could argue they would have been better off with Baker the last 2 years.
Absolutely.
But it still wouldn't have been good enough.
It would have cost you less. I mean, you would have had your first round picks.
Yep.
It would have cost you less in money.
Yes. They would have probably been better off with Baker the last couple of years. But I don't think they would have won more than one playoff game in any of those seasons with Baker Mayfield.
I'm thinking back.
The biggest, like I said, whether Baker was here or not, I still think the biggest difference that this team has made from the time they got rid of Baker to now is a guy by the name of Jim Schwartz. That right there, that was the game changer that the Browns needed because, like I said, he not only changed the identity of a defense, he changed the identity of a team to where they did not care who you was. They was taking the fight to you. And I feel like if he would have been here maybe when they went to the playoffs, what year was that when they lost to the Chiefs? I feel like I like their chances better. I feel like they probably would have beat the Chiefs. I do.
That year with Baker in 2020,
with Baker,
the COVID year.
I think they would have still beat the Chiefs.
I mean, they got lucky that Patrick Mahomes got hurt in that game.
That's fine, but I think they would have never converted 3rd and 12. I'll just tell you that. Not to no backup quarterback. There's no way that would happen.
To be fair, the defense played like absolute crap against Houston last year in the playoffs. Did they not?
They did.
They did. They had injuries too, but they did. Yeah, they did not show up.
The defense was pretty healthy.
With us in the dang, with the secondary? No, they wasn't.
In the playoffs, who missed the game?
Del Pitt did, which was big because they went after Ronnie Hickman.
But the corners were all there.
The corners were there. And
so who was hurt besides Del Pitt for the playoffs?
It was just Del Pitt. They're pretty healthy time.
I mean, come on.
Oh,
you can't
really?
make injuries an
well,
excuse.
Hey.
Everybody's got some injuries.
We need better postseason success.
That's right. Go ahead, Mike.
Defensively postseason success, I should say.
Let's talk a little guards. We're going to welcome in Oregon State's manager here in 1 sec as soon as he joins us, but let me get the read out the way and set up what we're going to talk about with Mitch Canham. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, but as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open up the app, dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show. And as I just mentioned, Oregon State baseball manager Mitch Canham will join us here shortly. But Jason and Tyvus, you were not with us yesterday to give us your thoughts on the Guardians' 1-1 selection of Travis Bazzana.
I like the pick. I mean, we talked to – who did we talk to last week?
I can't remember either of their names.
Yeah.
We talked through draft.
Joe Doyle and Jared Goodwin.
Yeah.
It was Jared.
Yeah.
When he talked him up, I thought that when you go back and you look at him in college, I love the fact that he kind of reflects a little bit of Stephen Kwan when he's got great plate discipline and things like that. I love the passion that he plays. When you watch his tape, he's fired up on the thing. So I like those type of things. I think that he can translate to the MLB the best. With Charlie Condon, I love the home runs. I did. I thought that was big. But this kid he gives you home runs. Maybe not to that extent, but he still does give you home runs. And I just feel like with Charlie Condon, it's a lot of ifs, because he's not going to play third base. This kid can come in and play second base, and I think it's perfect. Now you get Jimenez back to shortstop, and I think it just makes the Guardians better long term.
All right, we'll get Jason's thoughts in a little bit. But, Mike, we have our next guest.
We do. It is the Mitch Canham, the manager of the Guardians' current number 1 pick, and Oregon State manager Mitch Canham. Mitch, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate, Coach, for taking some time to give us a little insight into the newly drafted number 1 overall pick of the Cleveland Guardians, Travis Bazzana.
Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on. Any chance I get to talk about T-Boz is a fun time. A lot of stories, but just brings a lot of joy for having that young man around for these last handful of years.
First of all, Coach, you look way too young to be coach. I mean, you look like you're 25. How old are you?
You know, we had a camp last week, and I was taking out the trash and working my way back into the stadium. And this dad goes, "Hey, so you do play here?" I was like, "I appreciate that." No, not anymore. Once upon a time, but 39, turning 40 this year, and got 2 little ones that keep me young.
Well, there you go. That's cool. Hey, Coach, obviously we don't know Travis. You know him well. We don't know him. We've heard nothing but amazing things about him. Tell us, what kind of person – we see the baseball player. Obviously we want to hear about the baseball player, but tell us what kind of person we're getting here in Cleveland.
I'm telling you, you're going to want to bring him on the show every day. He's the kind of guy that's infectious. You want to have around at any given time. I mean, it's almost like there's a fight to who's going to be his roommate, right? Because you look at the photo of him there with his smile. He cares about other people, whether he knows you or not. He wants to change the world, which is exciting. There's not anything that he doesn't want to be the best at, and he understands his platform and how he's going to use it. The emotion he has towards his family and taking care of his homeland of Australia, this is a much bigger thing than just playing baseball for him. And I know when I was talking to him about the draft coming up, and even after it, getting selected by the Guardians is something that he was extremely excited for. We hopped on the phone with Kai as well, and I talked to Steven. And just knowing them from a long time and saying, man, this is so cool that I trust that he's going to a place where he is going to continue to develop, that has a winning tradition, that has a culture that I know he's going to be excited to be a part of. But he's a guy that don't be surprised if you see him out there in the community. Don't be surprised if you see him staying late after games, signing autographs. Don't be surprised at anything, because he'll play anywhere on the field to help the team win. And he's got the biggest heart in the world, and he's pretty stinking smart. So you got to be careful when you bring him on. Make sure you're ready.
I like that.
Mitch, how do we get here? When the Guardians won the lottery to get the number 1 pick, I don't think people thought they were going to be the first team to ever take a second baseman first overall. So this obviously is not a position that normally goes number 1. Yeah. How did we get here with him?
Look at the development throughout his years. I mean, from when he was in high school, when he was playing, when he was 16, he was playing against grown men, right? And his freshman year, he comes in, hits 6 home runs. I mean, this guy, when I watched him play summer ball for the Corvallis Knights here in town, he hit over 400. And every game that I went to and brought the kids and eating a hot dog and crushing a soda pop, he's laying down a bunt for a knock, getting down the line in a 3-5, and then he hits one over the fence or in the gap. And then it was like every single game, same thing, playing with energy, talking to everybody around him. And this guy hasn't even stepped foot on college campus yet. And then he brings it in 6 homers, 11 homers, 20, 28 homers, whatever. But it's when he stepped in on our recruiting visit in that players' lounge and saw the leaderboard of all the accolades, he took a photo of it, and you knew he was just sitting there saying, I'm going to beat every single one of these things. And even the stolen base record, he goes, I think he had like 7 the first half of the season. And I go, Boss, how come you don't run? He goes, do you want me to? I said, yeah, man, you got speed. Like, use it. And he goes, okay. So he gets out there, and he breaks the season record in stolen bases. Just incredible what he can do in a half season. And he said, if that's what the team needs me to do, then I'll do it. And it's been really exciting to see his growth. I'll give you one more little nugget. We take off for summer, and we do a lot of stuff in the classroom when the guys get back in the fall, a lot of life skill stuff before we go out to practice. Boz called me up and goes, hey, I have a couple presentations I'd like to give to the team. I said, what do you got? He goes, I'll show you when I get back. So he gives the presentation to Coach Dorman. He gives it to Coach Gibson. Then he comes in and does it to me one-on-one in the classroom before he's ready to go deliver it to the team. And he gave me an hour presentation on induced vertical break and how to effectively use a slider. Jeez. And I just said, what? Travis, you're no, but he's a student of the game. He wants to help his teamates. Amazing. I got so many stories about Boz because, he's just so special. But we're sitting outside or in the dugout during the game, and he goes, he has a different look on his face. You can read his body language pretty easy. I go, you okay? He goes, yeah. I go, man, and it's always you always ask 3 times, right? I go, you doing all right? He goes, yeah. I go, now you got to be real with me, dude. I need to know. Are you okay? And if not, can you finish the game like a professional? He goes, I'm a little off, but I can finish this game. So he goes out, gets a couple more hits. We win the game. I wait down the line for him, and he's, signing all the autographs for the kids. He's always the last one to leave. He comes over, and we start having this conversation, and he was so emotional about wanting to help other people. He goes, I just want to get better at helping my teammates. I believe in them so much, and I want to be able to push them. And it was genuine. Like, this wasn't just some fluff talk. You could see it was affecting him in the game, just looking at his guys, because he knows he's going to do his job. He's able to go pitch to pitch better than anybody, right? And you watch him after he fouls one off, he's just going to get fired up, but then he brings it on back down to the end of the funnel and commits to his plan. But I watched him in that moment. He and I sat down, and it was just like, I want to get the best out of them as well because I want to win it all, and I believe in them. I love these guys. And that's why he stayed here and did the draft and brought everybody back here as opposed to going off to Texas. He just really wanted to be home and be around his family. So he's very special, and he's going to treat, the Guardians just like family as well.
No, he's definitely an awesome guy. As a guy, I might give me a jersey for sure
right.
with his name on it for sure. I definitely get one. Yeah. Mitch, you talk about that he can play every position. What is another position that you see him, potentially playing in the majors?
I think there's been a lot of people talking about, possible transition into the outfield. We had done that one game when we were in the Pac-12 tournament. He jumped out in center field after we just got done with a 5-hour game, and everyone's exhausted. I think the score was 23-22 or something silly. But Boz goes out there and plays center field, and he loves it. I mean, he'll go out there and shag during BP and, talk mess to the other guys and challenge them a little bit. Like, hey, but you could put him at third. He is open to playing short. He goes, if you need me there, and he's going to need to be able to play on the left side too, especially, how we were shifting and everything to make those throws. But I can see him running around anywhere in the outfield, going to second base, picking up third base very easily, but really working with Kai and his expertise as an infield coach as well, I think is going to also help him elevate to the next level. The convo that they had the other day was just about that, man. I've been prepping, if you were going to get here, I want to be ready to work. And that hits home with Boz. Boz wants to work, and he wants to be the best at anything. So if you want to see him get better, just tell him the answers to the test. Like, you need to get better doing X, and he will find a way to make it happen. His time he spent, with the folks up at Driveline and coming back and implementing a lot of that stuff, taking it to the cages. we joked. We said, if you live with Travis, your OPS goes up 200 points. So we should have got like a 10-bedroom house and just thrown everybody.
Hey, Coach, when you look at his stats at Oregon State, I think the most eye-popping thing to me, and almost everything in his stat line is eye-popping, but to me, the most impressive thing was his strikeout-to-walk ratio. Like his freshman year, he struck out a little more than he walked, and then his sophomore year, he walked more than he struck out. And then this year, I mean, the numbers were absurd. It was almost 2-1, I think. Might have been a little more than 2-1 walks to strikeouts. In this day, a modern age of baseball, that's unheard of. I mean, it's crazy for a guy who has the power that he does, but the plate discipline, the baseball IQ, and the feel of the strike zone that he has. Do you expect that to translate as he makes his way through the minors into the majors?
I really do. I sat back there in the fall and would umpire the game sometimes. I'll throw the gear on. And he's not afraid to let me know if I missed a call or not. But he could sit there and tell you exactly how far up, out, in, or down the baseball is. His strike zone discipline is, I haven't seen that. Garrett Forrester was extremely good at it as well. But Boz understands like every different section of that plate and his swing decisions. You know, you can tell when he's locked in. He doesn't swing at stuff out of the zone. He's going to hammer stuff that's in the zone. And just his approach, pitch to pitch, his setup, his ability to repeat it. That's something we always talk about is, you know, or some people I've heard say, you know, Travis is extremely aggressive. And he'll even tell you flat out, no, I'm not. Like, I am aggressive to my pitch, to a good pitch, and I'll go get that thing, but I don't swing at any junk. Like, his ability not to chase leads, and I've heard from guys from other teams we played for, gosh, it is so frustrating pitching to your guys because they don't chase. And so you have to come at them. And when you do come at them, you know, stuff happens like that highlight you just showed right there of him hitting it out at Globe Life. That kind of stuff is what we focus on a lot here daily. But when Boz first got here, it was, again, like bat control. Guy played cricket, right? He could put bat to ball and hit it anywhere he wanted. And then he started to say, you know what, I really want to learn how to hit home runs. And like practicing hitting home runs and making the bat move faster. There's so many stats. We can look at the stat sheet and say, this is all incredible. One of the most impressive ones is runs scored. He's getting on base and he's finding a way to score runs. And that means, like, you know, having the guys around you. That means, like, constantly not looking for the next 90 feet. You're trying to find the base beyond that and beyond that. When he's on the base, the guys that are up at the plate, the pitchers aren't focusing on them as much. They're focusing on Travis because they don't want him to swipe the next bag and the next bag, right? So it becomes he is a threat at all moments of the game. And you can always see people are going to be sitting in their seats when he's up because you just don't know, like, how exciting that moment's going to be. And most likely it's going to be thrilling.
One of the best guys in terms of walk-to-strikeout ratio, plate discipline, already in the big leagues, of course, is another former Beaver, and that's Stephen Kwan. Now, I know you didn't coach him. I know he left before you went to Oregon State. Yeah. We love Stephen Kwan. He's very popular here in Cleveland. He's been a fantastic player, and he's having a fantastic season. He's got the batting title seemingly in hand at this point. I know you mentioned him briefly. What is the relationship like between Stephen and Travis? How well do they know each other?
You know, I'm not sure exactly how tight that relationship is, but Stephen comes here in the off season and gets a handful of workouts in. The year before Stephen got pulled up to the big leagues, you could show up to the yard at 6 a.m. and Kwani was out there working, right? Him and Larnick and a couple other guys, Isert, who had just made his debut this year as well. Yeah. Guys were sitting out there and getting a workout in the morning. They go over, they can use the weight room. They got their own pro locker room to throw their stuff and take showers or what have you. But if you would have said, do you think that guy's going to make it to the big leagues this year? It was a no-doubter, yes. Look how hard he's out there working. He's pushing himself each and every morning, consistency. And he was like, just the way he was carrying himself. You felt that about Kwani. So when he got called up, obviously we're all huge smiles, but no, I don't think there was really a surprise. And for him to keep going the direction he's going right now, how much people love him. He has such a great story. Travis has such a great story. Rutschman has such a great story. I think that's what this place is made of right here, is bringing in the right kind of guys that have a lot of blue collar to them, grit, that overcome adversity, that fall, pick themselves up. And Kwani is just a beautiful picture of that, of a guy who is seen the highs, seen the lows, but continued to get after it and treats people with respect and love and compassion. And that, Travis and I and all of our coaches, everyone here knows, we are standing in such a good position right now because of those who have come before us. Pat Casey and Jack Riley and all the other coaches that have been here before, and then the student athletes that come in here have propelled us. I mean, Boz looks at those alumni as people that motivate him, right? He sees the records that Rutsch and Larnick and everyone else has created, and Jim Wilson, and says, you know what? That's going to motivate me to be even better. And I see him, looking at those next big milestones and saying, I'm gonna find a way to break all these records too. And whether he does or not, I know that he's going to give it everything he has. And as someone who loves him and believes in him, I'm also extremely, I smile because I'm confident that he's going to go out in this next step and be in a great place. I'm not worried about him. I believe in him. I'm excited. My little kids are, sad that they're not going to see him every day right now, but they're excited that he's taking on that next chapter. The best stats are the ones that aren't on the back of a baseball card. People don't always, talk about them, and kids don't see them when they turn the card around and look at stolen bases and homers and OPS and all that stuff. Travis is really good, not only at the stuff on the baseball card, he's amazing at the stuff that's not even on the back of that baseball card, and that's the game of life and how he treats people.
It's awesome.
Mitch, we're running out of time. I have 100 questions I'd want to ask.
I know.
But I want to get to one off topic a little bit, but real quick. Could Travis come up and help this team this year, do you think? Could he be a guy?
He tweeted it, and then he deleted it.
Like September postseason type thing. Do you think he's an option, or is that just rushing things too much?
Travis tweeted that?
That's what I was told. I didn't see it myself. I was told he tweeted it, and then maybe thought better of it and deleted it.
I don't even know if Travis has Twitter at all. I think first Facebook was for the older generation. Now Twitter's probably for the older generation. I think it's one of those other ones.
Maybe it was a fake Travis.
Could be.
So there are people that can help on the field, and there are people that make other people better, and there are people that do both.
Yeah.
I do believe if he gets an opportunity to be up there, he will do amazing things.
Wow.
There's no doubt about it. Whether or not it's his time yet, I know that they have a great squad and they're doing amazing things up there. But if Travis gets the opportunity, I don't think people are going to stress it too much. I think he'll handle that environment extremely well. Obviously, there's always some of that transition, but what he's been doing with his mental skill game, I mean, he came here and started studying psychology because he wants to make sure he's sharp and he's able to help others with that process as well. It's a big jump. I never played up there. I have no idea of what it really entails because I haven't set foot out there. But watching some of the other guys and seeing this kid, I would say he's got as good a shot as anybody of helping out right away.
It'd be pretty cool, real quick. It'd be pretty cool if at some point next summer, not only if he's in the big leagues, but if Stephen Kwan's batting 1 and Travis is batting 2.
It'd be great for Oregon State.
That would be a great recruiting tool, yes. and then Adley Rushman's hitting 700 home runs for the Orioles, But that I think I'd be pretty excited thinking about that.
But
go ahead,
speaking along the lines of home runs and everything, we don't get to talk to college baseball coaches very often. One thing I've always been curious, why don't they use wood bats and I know it's not all about Major League Baseball, but it certainly would help the evaluation process and who can make the transition and who can't. Is it just the contracts that the schools have with the bat companies, or why don't we see? Do you think wood bats would ever come to college baseball?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. That's something I haven't really dove into a ton. I do know there's like contracts and there's a market for that for college athletics. You know, wood bats could be a safety issue for some of that. I mean, we train a lot with wood bats.
Yeah.
Right, and the way that they have the bats designed right now, there's not a ton of difference in the jump off the bats. From what I've noticed, when our guys go out there and hit with wood, and then they use, RD Marinas as well, it's, it looks the same to me. It sounds quite a bit different. I do love the sound of wood bats, but, you don't have bats splitting and shooting all over the place. I enjoyed the transition from college to pro ball and using wood bats, but not really sure on that one. We'd have to dig into it.
Okay.
Coach, for 10 seconds before you go, as a highly successful college coach, I have been coaching Little League for 3 years.
He's about to get fired.
Now, I'm on the hot seat, Coach.
Hot seat.
My team has not won a playoff game in 3 years. We're now starting fall ball right now. I'm loaded with talent here, Coach. Can you give me some advice? We've had success in the regular season, but in the playoffs we're falling on our face.
Update your
Can
resume.
you give me a
That's
piece
my
of advice to help get things going here in Little League?
Dang, well, sometimes we gotta outsource. If we're not getting it done, we gotta go find the next guy that's ready to get in. I don't know. I
gotta fire myself, is what you're saying.
I just said, Al, I said bring in some new life and energy. Man, you're doing a great job in the regular season.
Yeah.
We did this in the minor leagues. Like sometimes in August, you gotta bring in some games, some Jimmy Fallon, some fun, some Johnny Carson to loosen the guys up. I don't know, maybe a little pressure.
Did you play in the New York Penn League, by the way?
I did not. No.
Okay. Just curious. Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it. Great stuff on Travis. We're all excited to see him play. Do you know where he's starting? You don't have any idea whether he's starting in Lake County or Akron. They haven't told him yet, as far as you know, or?
I have not heard anything. He said he was going to be taken off to go get all the stuff signed and go check out the stadium, I guess. I'm not really sure, but I know he's busy as all heck. We had a great celebration the other day for him. Aiden May got picked up as well, and yesterday a handful of other guys went.
Well, we wish you best of luck with the program, and we thank you very much for taking the time today.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Right on, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Cheers.
And if you don't have a college baseball team to root for, now you better root for Oregon State.
I mean,
because
how
that
can
was
you
as
not?
nice of a coach and
nice guy.
interaction was phenomenal.
That was great.
So, yeah,
I mean,
we are now Oregon State fans by nature.
If Travis Bazzana is half the player that Coach thinks he is and half the person that he thinks he is, he's going to be great.
I mean, think about it. Oregon State, what they're churning out the last few years, they're becoming a power.
I mean, Adley Rushman's an absolute superstar.
Yeah, and if you had Kwan to that, and if Bazzana hits, and
I feel good about Bazzana. We didn't get your chance to get your thoughts on it. What did you think?
I don't mind the pick. I do think it's a little unorthodox to take a second baseman. I think that's where he's going to stick. I know they talk about moving around.
I think Jimenez is going to move to shortstop.
I think so
next
too.
year.
And I think really what I think is that this opens up opportunities at this trade deadline.
I just said the same thing yesterday.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, I think that you can get aggressive with Rocchio and Arias. I don't know what value they have. Rocchio should have more value than Arias.
Yeah.
Just because he's not as far
all
along.
These guys.
Yeah.
You know, Martinez, Tena, whoever.
And I also think, I also wonder, I do wonder if Junior Caminero last year came up at the end of the season for the Rays. Now, they're not going to start the contract clock this early. You're not going to start it.
Right.
And lose a year of that's not going to happen. But if you bring him up, like the Braves brought Caminero up like a week or two left in the season last year, and then had him for the postseason because the clock's not ticking on that. So I have no idea, but I wonder if you could see him the last week of September, give him a look, see if he looks overmatched, and maybe he's an option for the postseason. I know it sounds crazy.
I know,
but it doesn't start It doesn't
start the clock if he doesn't start the season in the big leagues next year.
Yes, you can start him in the minors next year and sort of wind the clock back.
Fans will get mad at that if he plays well.
It's exactly what the Rays did with Caminero last year and this year.
But here's the thing. Jay brought that up yesterday, too. I think we'd all love the idea of it. Obviously, he's got to play well in the minors.
Yes.
If he struggles in the minors, I'll be curious. Do they start him? He won't play low A ball.
I think he'll start double A.
I said yesterday I thought he should start at Akron.
Yeah.
Jay thought that he might start at Lake County for like a week.
Maybe.
We'll see.
If he's at Lake County, he's not there long.
Yeah, I mean, this kid's he should be playing at Akron.
Yes.
I mean, he could play double A ball right
Yes.
now. And if he dominates, get him right to Columbus.
Yeah, there we go.
And then if he dominates and it's September, yes, bring him up in September. Let's see.
Well, when he goes to Columbus, I will be there to watch him play.
He go to Akron? Not like Akron's that far.
No, because why would I go
lives
to
in Columbus.
Yeah, what sense does that make?
He lives in Columbus.
I don't know, man. If he makes his, you know what? We should go watch his professional debut. If it's in Lake County, it's right here. If it's in Akron, both are an hour or less away. So.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's likely that he's up this year.
No,
certainly
very
not.
unlikely.
But I look at what the Rays did with Caminero and think they could try something like that with him.
Hey, listen, I know it's not the same year, but Wyatt Langford started the season in the big leagues this year after being drafted last year.
Yep.
We know about Paul Skeens, who came up. He's now an all-star.
Yep.
Now, this kid is not not the level of prospect as Paul Skeens, but
I think I said last week, I think he's up by June.
Yeah, man. As long as he's not struggling in the minors.
Yeah.
If he's succeeding in the minors, he's got to be up by next June.
Yeah.
And I envision him as the two-hitter. I think he's that type of hitter. As a two-hitter.
Long-term.
I don't know. I'm not going to be two-hitter right away, but long-term, and we've talked about this, that's a desperate need on this team right now.
Whoa, you keep saying that like Angel Martinez.
I like what I've seen of Angel Martinez, but I'm not convinced he's a two-hitter for the rest of this year.
Well,
I like what I've seen, though.
I'm only bringing it up because I want to be right about this so I could be 2-0 against Jason.
What was this one?
Well, Jason cheated the exercise.
He did not cheat. He's right. He did. Hunter Gaddis has been the most impressive young player. He has been.
That's no. He's not a prospect.
But he's a rookie.
Yes, he is. He's a rookie.
He's a rookie.
We don't have to rehash this.
All right, that's all right. Let's keep it moving. Go ahead, Mike.
So the Guardians are recapping their draft. It'll end tonight. We'll recap it tomorrow. So we'll spend some time talking about their later round strategy. We're going to talk some Cavs to end up the show here. But if you want to see Travis Bazzana, we didn't ask him how the finish.
I think it's Bazzana. I'm pretty sure it's Bazzana.
If you want to see his professional debut, you can buy tickets using the Game Time app because it is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. And prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So, Jason, earlier this summer, after the Cavs season had come to an end, The Athletic, and partly your reporting, had mentioned that Darius Garland and/or his representation may, and the key word was may, ask for the Cavs to explore a trade if Donovan Mitchell re-signed. Fast forward to the present, Donovan has re-signed, and at the Summer League, Darius Garland told Chris Fedor that he now does not want to be traded. In your opinion, what's changed from where we started this offseason to where we presently are in terms of the Darius Garland situation and his future with the Cavs?
I don't know that anything changed, really. We talked about it for weeks after our report came out that, listen, it's going to be a tough needle to thread because Darius has a really big contract, riches in franchise history, and he didn't have a good year. And it's tough to marry that together when you're trying to make a trade to improve your team to win right now. And the Cavs had offers early in this process from teams trying to trade for him, but it wasn't things that were going to make them better right now. And this is a team trying to contend right now. So they did talk. Kobe Altman and Rich Paul did have a conversation, but certainly to this point, and it's middle of July, things could still change. But for where we sit now, it certainly appears as if they're going to bring it back with all four guys, which we talked about on the show. Certainly, they don't have to they don't have to trade anyone because it's a tough spot that they're in. They're trying to win. And because of the money, because of what's out there, what's available, it wasn't always going to be a perfect alignment to make things happen. There are still questions. It's fair. I've said it before. 2 years ago, they played great together. Donovan and Darius were just fine together. Last year, it was not good. So we'll see if they do run it back this year. We'll see what it looks like this year. I still don't know that Darius is going to live out the length of the contract in Cleveland. We'll see. we'll see what this looks like. The Cavs are putting a lot of faith in Kenny Atkinson being the missing ingredient in all this and being able to make it all merry and make it all blend and make it all taste a lot better than what it did last year. But I don't know that necessarily. I don't think anything really changed. I believe Darius when he says he's happy here. That was never in dispute. What we reported was that if Donovan re-signed, which obviously he did, his representation could have a conversation with Kobe about the possibility of getting him out. That occurred. That happened. But to this point, no movement obviously has taken place.
Travis?
Yeah, I never was a fan of. Obviously, everybody knows that I like DG, and I never was a fan of that. And when he did his little interview, he talked about the weight loss. And I'll just tell you what, buddy, you better eat you some more Chick-fil-A since that was your first meal. You just need to. I just think he just needs to bulk up. Like I say, the player that he was a couple of years ago, it just no way that he just disappeared. Hopefully, with Kenny Atkinson coming in here, switching things around, is able to help him be more comfortable. Him and Donovan been playing for. Well, this will be 3 years now, so at some point it's got to work. At some point, because if you're gonna commit to staying here and not asking for a trade, and you want to ride this thing out, you got to be willing to make those sacrifices and do the things that you can to be successful. So hopefully everybody's mind is open to what Kenny wants to happen, and hopefully we see a better offensive set and better play from Darius in this upcoming season.
There are people around Darius and Darius' circle who want the ball in Darius' hands, who believe that he's at his best when he's running the offense. It was like that when Colin Sexton was here. Is like that now with Donovan.
I mean, those people are annoying.
You can point to the evidence that say that, but at the end of the day, if you really want to win it, you got to make sacrifices and you got to learn how to be better without the ball. That sometimes, and I feel like you've had 2 years to do that. So at this point, that's why I say to me, if Kenny could get Evan to be more like Draymond, where he takes the ball out of their hands for a little bit and facilitate things. That might be better for both of them, because now you can't be mad that he got the ball, or he can't be mad he got the ball. Neither one of y'all got it.
Couple things. First of all, number one, Cane's, KFC, Popeyes, all way better than Chick-fil-A.
What are you?
False.
What are you talking
Chick-fil-A's
about?
trash.
It is not.
What is wrong with you?
People wait on car lines 15 cars deep to get Chick-fil-A, which is trash.
Are you insane?
Are
you insane?
No, I am the most sane person you've ever met in your life.
That is, first of all, that's opinionated right there.
It is an opinion.
The man who is openly rooting against NFL players
No,
is the most sane person.
Because I keep it real. Everybody.
That doesn't make you sane.
That's true, it doesn't.
Wait, first of all, Cane's don't sell.
They sell chicken fingers.
Yeah, so that's
the difference.
It's a big difference. Cane's chicken fingers alone is not that great, but the sauce is what makes it superb.
And chicken fingers are good.
So
Chick-fil-A is way overrated.
No,
their
it's
food
not.
stinks, and the company hates gay people, so I hate them.
Well, then
All right?
so that's what it is.
That's what it is. That's the
But I don't like their chicken. I don't think their chicken's good anyway. Number two, Darius's people don't give a rat's ass whether the Cavs win or not. They only care about him getting paid as much as possible, so his honors can make more money.
They should be done. He's paid.
Yeah, go away.
It's
go
over.
away. I don't care what his people do.
I agree with you, but there's another contract.
I understand,
I don't care
but
what
if he
people
keep playing like this and he keeps saying, I want the ball.
Number
I want
three,
the ball. Like,
He's not saying it.
Number three, guys, I'm not going to speak for you. You weren't emotional about it. You're not emotional about anything.
I'm dead inside.
You're dead inside. Me and Earl and G, the three of us, we all got emotional because we're emotional people. We got emotional and we're like, Darius sucks. Let's move on from him. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, well, I'm like Jason then. I'm dead.
Yeah, you're more like Jason.
Yeah, I'm dead
Me,
inside.
Earl, and G, we live by our emotions, right? So we were like, you got to trade him, But the reality is now that I've calmed down and the season's way over and I'm less in my emotions, the reality is the Cavs can't trade Darius Garland because you can't trade a guy coming off his worst season making a ton of money because his value is nothing. And as you said, all the trade offers they got were probably draft picks or whatever it was, but it's not a player bet. Why would anybody give you a good wing player for Darius Garland right now?
Correct.
This is not going to happen. So my fear, the only hope for the Cavs is that Kenny Atkinson gets the best out of Darius and the best out of Evan Mobley. But my fear, guys, and you tell me what you think, and Mike if you want to jump in, or Earl, whoever. My fear with the Cavs is that they find themselves in a situation where you never want to be in the NBA, where you're too good to rebuild, to get draft picks, especially because they've traded them all away. But you're not good enough to compete with the best of the best. Like they're in that next tier where like they're going to get to the playoffs every year. They're probably going to win a round, a number of times, and they're never going to get past that.
It's basketball limbo.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Does basketball limbo still exist?
Why would it
in
not?
This new world NBA of parity and everything else, this is not the era of super teams anymore. So and you're right. You don't want to be in the middle. I don't know that the middle exists anymore. I think almost everybody's in the middle.
Here's what I think. If you think I'm wrong, I think the middle is just smaller. There's less teams there. And I think the Cavs, unfortunately, are one of the very few teams in that place.
Here's the thing. I don't think the Cavs are the best team in the East. I don't think they're a top 3 team in the East.
Are they even top 4? I mean, Philly, Milwaukee, the Knicks,
I don't put Philly.
Boston?
I don't put Philly above them.
You don't put Philly above them.
I'm not a Philly believer.
Even with Paul?
Even with Paul. Okay. He's old. He's hurt all the time. But Boston, Knicks, and Milwaukee, I think, are above them. Those 3 teams are above them. And Mike, jump in and disagree with me if there's a team that I'm missing.
You and I disagree on Philly and Milwaukee. I'd have Philly in that 3rd spot and Milwaukee in the 4th spot, and I know you disagree with that. But I think you can't make the case the Cavs are top 3. Whether Philly or Milwaukee's your 3rd preference, either one of those, whoever.
I think they're 5 behind both of those teams, but you guys know better than me.
That's where I had them too.
But I also think, are you telling me right now they can't beat Milwaukee in a playoff series? I think they can. Are you telling me they can't beat Philly? I think they can.
I agree with both of those.
Can they beat New York? Tough, but yeah, I think you can't. I'm not going to sit here and say they can't beat the Knicks in a playoff series. So I mean, Boston would be hard.
But can't
Boston's
and likely are 2 different things.
But in the past in the NBA, if the 5 seed had no chance of beating.
That's true.
The 2 seed.
That's fair.
That was not going to happen.
No, you're right.
And we're seeing the needle shift on this, and I think we're going to talk about it probably in the next topic here. But we're seeing that shift in the NBA to where, and that's why I think this is a different argument than what it was. Because the Cavs are no better right now than at the absolute best case scenario. Whether you want to make it Philly, Milwaukee, whoever, they are no better than 4th and very possibly 5th. True. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I can't sit here and say they cannot beat those teams in front of them, where in the past, you couldn't come up with a logical reason or argument for how the 5th team was going to beat the 2 team.
But would you agree that they would be an underdog against any of them?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask Jason a question real quick? Jason, how would you stack these particular teams then? If you want to put Philly and Cleveland, how do you rank them with Orlando and Indiana and even Miami then too? Those 5 teams, how would you rank those?
Right now, I put Cleveland ahead of those teams. Although I really like Orlando. I was so impressed with them.
Did they get a point guard here?
They got Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Not a true point guard, but a shooter who could also handle it.
It's an upgrade.
And they got De Silva,
it's an upgrade.
who I seen him game 1.
That's Mike's guy.
He shot really good.
He was good.
Yeah, Mike, he did. I was mad, Mike.
I was watching him during that. That was the one game, the Cavs game I caught while I was in Vegas. He can play.
He's a wing player, though, not a point guard, right?
No, he's 6'8", 6'9".
But he's older. What is he, like 23?
He's 23. That's why he slid in the draft.
Yeah.
Or not slid, but that's why he wasn't.
But in the end, if he's really good, who cares what his age is?
I think, but to Mike's, I think Indiana was a little bit of a fluke, and I think they got lucky on some of the pairings and the way things broke. I would put the Cavs above Indiana.
Yeah.
I'd put the Cavs above Miami.
You never know with them from year
You
to
never
year.
know.
It's
But right
weird
now,
with
I'd put
them,
the Cavs above them. What was the other one?
That's it.
It was Orlando, Philly.
But think about it this way. It's
all a bottleneck right there.
It is. Okay, but let's say in theory the Cavs finishes the 4 or 5 seed next year, which is a good chance of that, right?
Yeah.
So now, in theory, you likely would have to beat either Philadelphia or Milwaukee in the first round, then the Celtics in the second round, and then either the Knicks or Philadelphia or Milwaukee. Like the odds of them beating all 3 of those 4 teams
the odds
are not good.
The odds of all those teams being healthy at the end are not good.
True, but the odds of the Cavs being healthy
and that's why you got to play this out. You got to let
so the
this play out.
Cavs have a chance, a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
But they're on the lower end of the teams that have a chance. they're near the bottom.
I mean, there's teams I'd rank above them as better teams today, but again, I think they have every bit of chance of beating those teams in a playoff series, and that didn't exist prior to. That didn't exist 10 to 15 years ago.
I can't talk.
Well, I got something I want to say.
Ahead,
I'm mad at McNuggets on this Darius thing, and I really don't ever have a problem with McNuggets, but I'm mad at him because
What'd I do?
I'm gonna tell you what you did. We had a conversation. You brought up a topic. It was a very great topic. It said, "Can Darius Garland be the Jaylen Brown of the Cavs?" And you said, you and G. Bush teamed up and said, "No, he's too small. They got to get rid of him." And I'm just curious now to hear what your thought is now that Darius is staying around. I just want to hear what you have to say about that because, just a couple weeks ago.
Think he's staying around.
Yeah, just a couple weeks ago, you was
my
all
thoughts
out.
haven't changed.
Okay.
To be Jaylen Brown, you have to be the second best player on a championship team. Do I think Darius Garland could be the second best player on a championship team? Just like 3 weeks ago, my answer is still no.
I mean,
He's such a hater.
The reality is.
Do you think he could be the second best player on a
No,
championship
he
team?
could be the first. How
No,
about
come on,
that?
you're crazy.
He could be the
goodness
first. How about
Here's
that?
the
You're
truth
mad at
about the
yourself.
Cavs. The truth about the Cavs is something that Jason Lloyd said 3 years ago, and then again 2 years ago, and then again last year. And now I will say it in his stead.
What'd he say?
The only way the Cavs win a championship is if Evan Mobley becomes the best player on the Cavs. At the very least, I would say the number 2 player.
I think it has to be number 1.
Okay, you think he still has to be number 1.
Yeah.
That's it. Because
as this team is currently constructed.
Right.
As this team
because
is
if
constructed.
Donovan Mitchell's your second best player, but what are the odds that Evan Mobley by this year becomes better than Donovan Mitchell? There's almost no chance of that.
What are the odds that Evan Mobley actually becomes like a best player on the team? Period.
I have no idea what the odds are. I think it's possible.
You really, when you
Yes.
watch him play,
You think
see
it's possible he could be better than Donovan this year?
This year, no.
He said best player.
Ever.
You
Ever.
said this year.
Do you see it, boy? When you watch,
I don't.
When Evan
But
play, have you ever like?
I mean, and this is an anomaly. But
Yeah.
look how long it took Jalen Brunson to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like
That's true.
It doesn't happen
Yeah.
when we want it to happen with every guy. And is it going to happen this year? Probably not. No. But I am curious to see Evan in a Kenny Atkinson offense because Evan, as a pro, has only played in defensive-minded systems in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's never played in a system that has featured him or that has focused on him. So I'm just curious to see what it looks like.
I think he needs to become the second best player on this team this year.
Out of curiosity,
This year he needs to become the second best player.
Out of curiosity,
and then
Mike.
we'll see. That'll be interesting.
what is his career high since he's been in the NBA?
Who, Mobley?
Yeah.
I think 15.7.
No. Career high like for one game.
Yeah, for one game.
Oh, I think 33, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay.
He could average 20-22 in the NBA.
No, I'm just curious.
38 points he scored against the Bucks on January 21st, 2023.
Giannis had to not be playing that game, right?
I have no idea. They scored
points
38
in the game.
points.
What was his like? Did he shoot threes in that game and everything?
No, he was 0 for 2 from 3.
He got 30. Oh yeah, Giannis.
And he made no free throws. He made 19 two-pointers.
Yeah, there's no way Giannis is playing that game. I can't imagine.
You
All right,
mentioned
Mike, go
Brunson
ahead.
real quick, which leads
Yeah.
us into our next topic. But one last point on Brunson before I do a read. Brunson took the leap when he left Luka's side and came to a completely new offensive philosophy where a coach gave him a lot more freedom to operate as the lead primary ball handler as opposed to being the outlet for Luka when they doubled him.
Yeah.
And you see what happened to his stats. So we'll see what happens with Atkinson and Evan Mobley.
Before you switch topics, I'm going to pat myself on the back for a minute here, Mike, which I love to do.
I'm aware.
I am voting myself the most improved basketball talker on this show. Okay? Because for years...
I'm going to put this as a poll, by the way.
Yeah. Because I feel like I have severely lacked in my ability to talk basketball compared to baseball and football. And I feel like in the last 2 weeks, I am at it's the best I've ever been at talking basketball. I have had intelligent points about how you cannot make wholesale changes to this team, even though I was arguing the opposite for about a year and a half. I feel like I'm locked in right now, Mike. I am sizzling hot. I'm like Steph Curry from 3 right now.
I can't wait to see what the chat says on this one.
He has one good week. You think he's MVP?
2 good weeks.
Let's see
I
if
didn't
the
say
chat-
MVP. I said most improved.
Let's see if the chat thinks it's been a 2 weeks. And if
Oh,
it's not,
there's no chance the chat's
if it's
gonna
not
agree.
bowling, you get sad or upset.
Yeah.
Our sponsor, BetterHelp, would be a perfect fit
Great.
for you. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you, and it's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased in your life. So today, I want to say how I really feel about Bull's thoughts on being the most improved basketball talker on the panel. And I'm sure there's people out there who may be thinking the same thing. It upsets me that Bull thinks he's made bigger strides in talking basketball than G. Bush has made when he's talking about Imani Bates' Summer League performance, or Tyvis has when he's talking about Giannis being the GOAT above LeBron or Michael Jordan, or even Jason, who is not backtracking on his reporting from earlier this summer regarding Darius Garland. If those guys needed to talk to someone unbiased to see if their takes are right or wrong, BetterHelp would be the right choice for them. Therapy can be different for everybody. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports teams, and it's important to get things off our chest every once in a while. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. Just visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Usually Friday news dumps are for bad news, but somehow the Knicks slid this into the Friday news dump last week that Jalen Brunson is taking $113-ish million less by signing an extension this year than waiting for the full max next year. And then it came out, Steve, if you want to take this tag board full, that in order to help save the Knicks even more money, Mikal Bridges is also reportedly willing to take a little bit of a team-friendly deal. That's according to Mark Stein, as teams continue to figure out how to keep quote-unquote super teams together under the second apron of the luxury tax. And I'm curious for your guys' standpoint. Is this setting a bad precedent for players down the road that owners should put the onus on them to take less money to be able to field the championship contender? We saw Donovan take the full max. We've seen Brunson now take a little less. Not saying one's right or one's wrong, but is it setting a bad precedent by Brunson and Bridges for other players down the road who won't be able to, or will be looked at in a different light for taking as much money as they've actually earned?
No.
Tyvis, you were in a players union. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it just literally tells you where guys are in their careers. That's pretty much where they're at. When you're young, it's all about the almighty dollar. When you get older and you've established your first contract and now you're on your second contract and you've already signed for $200 million, okay, yeah, I could take a friendly deal because I already got $200 sitting in the bank. At this point, I just want to win a championship. So when I look at these young guys sign these contracts, it makes me see, okay, they want to get paid. They want some security in their lives. And when it gets older and it's time to sign another contract, maybe they'll be more inclined to taking a friendly deal because they know at that point in their lives that they want to win a championship. That's the way I see it when I look at Jalen Brunson doing this. It's the same way I see it when I see Mikal Bridges do it.
I disagree. I think this is a really bad deal for the Players Association. I think they made a really bad deal. And I'm surprised that they agreed to this because this is putting their players now in a really bad position. And I hear what you're saying on once you make your money in your second contract, but what about the guys that are trying to get that first big contract coming off their rookie deal, and now they're going to be pressured to take less to make it? And
they're not going to be pressured at all.
Well,
they're going to look
even
at
if they're not.
They're going to look at them.
Let's say they do sign the max. They're going to be looked at as selfish.
Well, you can't Player Association is supposed to be for the players, and it's curious to me that the executive director of the Player Association who negotiated this deal resigned right after the deal was done. Right. Like, this was a bad deal. And it's not so much that you're giving the owners a break and trying to save them money. It's that once teams cross into the threshold, into the second apron, it's literally restricting what you can do in terms of building your roster. It's not about spending at that point. It's about they take the levers away. You can't make certain trades. There's certain things that you cannot do to improve your team anymore. So now owners can look at the player and say, are you a team player or not? You know, if you take all this money, then we're not going to be able to make any trades. And it puts the players in a really bad position. So I'm surprised that they made this deal. We've been talking about this on this show and everywhere else for months, that this is a new world in the NBA and everything has changed in terms of how teams can be constructed, how they can be built. We've talked about parity. It's never been like this before. We just talked about it in the last segment about how the fifth team can beat the second team now. All of that is good. All of that is healthy. From the player's perspective, it's not a very good deal when it's forcing you to leave that much money on the table. And also, it's not – I'm curious to see what the ratings look like, because parity is great right up until you get to a finals that nobody wants to watch.
That's true.
Because the stars are not involved. And for all the money that these networks are shelling out in these deals, I wonder what the ratings are going to look like on the back end when you don't have super teams. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying there's a trade-off and there's a cost to doing business this way, and the cost is going to show up in NBA Finals ratings.
So I agree with you that the Players Union's got to be annoyed at Brunson.
They have to be, I'm sure. And I'm sure the Players Union's looking around going, what did we just do?
Yeah, right.
What have we done?
They screwed up with this deal,
Big
clearly.
time.
So
I just spent 2 days in Vegas talking about this.
Yeah.
And what a talking point this is going to be moving forward.
And what were the players saying? Or did you not?
No, it wasn't necessarily me talking to the players about it.
I got it.
I know what they saying. They ain't got nothing to do with me. They ain't got nothing to do.
Well,
who you asking? What player you asking? Because I tell you what they gonna say. Give me a player, and I tell you what
I
they.
can't tell you who I'm talking to.
No. I'm saying like, give me an
random
example. If I was such and such, what would I?
Jared
say?
Allen.
Oh, he's a team guy. He's a team guy.
Donovan Mitchell.
No. Donovan has not. Did Donovan sign a big deal in Utah?
Here's the thing.
Yes.
You know what's funny?
He signed 2 maxes now.
Yes.
You know what's funny, guys, is
Donovan, you're selfish.
But he's not. You're not.
And that's the issue, because he's not selfish, and you should get every dollar you
Absolutely.
deserve. And it puts him in a bad position now, because people can look at Jalen Brunson
you know
and
what?
say, well, why didn't Donovan? It shouldn't be on Donovan to take a pay cut
but
to
Mike,
be able to keep a team together.
That's exactly right.
I come from
Thank you, Jason.
I come from a union family. I always support unions. What's being done to unions in this country is disgusting. And so it pains me to say this, but as a fan, I want players to do this. You guys are all talking from a player's perspective. Yeah, if I'm Evan Mobley, I don't want Brunson taking less, because then it makes me look selfish if I take the most. Maybe I don't care, but the players that are taking the max now are going to look to the fans as selfish. Fair or not, doesn't matter.
That's exactly right.
If you're a New York Knicks fan, you love even in a sport with no salary cap, baseball,
Jose.
we love Jose even more because he took less money, because it feels like it helped the team. Whether it actually did or not, who knows? But we love Jose. Everybody loves Jose, but you love him even more because he took less money.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is an experiment. The Knicks don't win. Ain't nobody doing that.
Right, but if you're a Knicks fan,
doing that.
If you're a Knicks fan, you already love Jalen Brunson.
That's fine.
Now you love him more.
Whoop-de-doo. If they don't win a championship, he's going to be mad at himself.
That's fine. I'm just saying,
for leaving that money on the table. I did it for nothing. What did I do it for? To play with my friends?
From a fan's perspective, when a player takes less money, fans love it.
Yep.
That's fine. Woohoo. At the end of the day, he did it to win a championship. If they don't win a championship, what was the point?
He did it. I mean, and by saying that,
your
you're calling Donovan Mitchell selfish.
No, I'm not.
You are indirectly.
No, I'm not. Donovan's protected himself. If I don't win a championship, I'm paid.
Tyvus,
you can't miss out on both, boy. You got to have one. I'm either going to get paid.
You're saying that Jalen Brunson cares more about winning a championship than Donovan Mitchell, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
See, that's not fair. Like I don't.
But isn't it true?
Fine. If you want to say that,
How can you prove it's true or not?
That's what you want to say.
One guy took less money to help the team, the other guy did.
Well, right now.
But would you take less money with UCSS so we can pay Jason or Tyvus?
That's a ridiculous comparison. By the way, it's a ridiculous comparison.
Why is it ridiculous?
First of all, if Steve Becker said, "Would you take a little less money? Otherwise, Tyvus has got to leave," I would. I swear to you, I would.
I appreciate that. I would literally do the same for you.
But it's not a fair comparison, and here's why. Because what did Jalen Brunson sign for?
113
It was
million,
it was $156.5 million.
And how much could he have gotten if he
could have got 113 more million than that.
113 more. Jalen Brunson, whether he gets paid $156 million or $260 million, he and his family are set for life no matter what.
That's what Jose
Obviously, another $113 million. There's no difference in his life, okay? The money I make good money. I'm not going to lie. I make good money between all my gigs.
Mm-hmm.
I live a perfectly nice life, but I don't live a millionaire's life. I'm not rich.
It's true.
I'm comfortable. I'm very happy for I'm not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't make life-changing money.
It wouldn't be like he told. It wouldn't be like
so
Steve
that's why Mike is not a fair comparison.
It would be like Steve said, "We need you to take a $300 pay cut." You'd be like, "No." But if it was like $50 or something like that, you'd be like, "Yeah."
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
I'm just saying I'm comparing the millions to us, like
right.
We talking millions of dollars here.
Once you make millions of dollars, the money's kind of irrelevant. It's really, what's the difference if you're making 100?
You're right. It's more the principle of it.
Yes.
It's just I don't think someone should look at Donovan Mitchell or any guy who's. I'm just using Donovan because he's the most recent one to sign the max. And Evan Mobley's going to be the same situation because if Evan Mobley signs the rookie max, he's making about $12 million this year to about $38 million next year. He should be able to make as much money as he possibly can.
And he better.
Without the criticism of, well, you're kind of effing your team over by doing this.
But you are.
If Evan Mobley don't sign that max, he's mistaken himself.
But here's the difference.
I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah. Here's the difference in the Knicks and the Cavs. The Knicks are a lot closer to the thresholds than the Cavs are right now. Cavs haven't even been a tax-paying team to this point. Right. So that matters in this as well.
Right.
If Jalen Brunson was on the Cavs, who have not been a tax-paying team, who have been below all these thresholds all this time, he probably doesn't take the haircut. But because the Knicks are farther along on the salary scale than where the Cavs. Now, eventually, this is going to catch up to them.
Yeah.
Like when you're paying Darius and Max, when you're paying Donovan, when you're paying Evan.
Right.
Eventually, they're going to have those contracts. But right now, today, when Donovan is signing that contract, they're not in the same position the Knicks are. Does that make sense? I don't know if I explained that right.
But let me ask you this, Jason. And listen, I'm not blaming Darius Garland for taking every dollar he got. I'm not blaming him. I'm not saying he's a bad guy or anything like that.
You can't.
But if let's say Darius had taken $50 million less.
Well, Darius signed it on an old.
I'm sorry, Donovan.
Okay.
Let's say Donovan had taken $50 million
so
less.
3 for $100.
Right.
Instead of 3 for $150.
Couldn't the Cavs have now been involved in free agency this year, which they weren't able to?
They would have a lot of money to use in free agency.
Okay.
Or not a lot, but they'd have about 13, 14-ish more million.
So I understand it's tricky because I don't want to criticize Donovan Mitchell for making as much money as he can because we'd all like to do that in theory. But it is fair to say that Jalen Brunson helped his team and Donovan Mitchell did not. But whether that's right or wrong, that's true,
but again,
isn't it?
It's an apples and oranges conversation because of where the Knicks are in payroll. And I don't know their numbers off the top of my head. But where the Knicks are in terms of the second threshold and where the Cavs are, it's not an apples-to-apples conversation.
That's fair. But in the end, if Donovan had taken less, the Cavs could have gone after a free agent and they would be better right now. I mean, isn't that fair? Am I being unfair?
Well, yes. Because
now it's probably wrong that that's on Donovan.
Hold on now, because you putting it all on Donovan. Why can't said player that they go after say, hey, listen, we're giving you a chance to come in here now. You got to take a little bit less to come play for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but you know it's a team-friendly deal.
Well, then, okay.
This is a franchise that is struggling to attract free agents for generations.
I understand all that, but I'm saying, why can't the free agent say that? Why Donovan got to look bad?
The free agent could say that too.
All right, that's what I'm saying. But everybody is about the dollar. So we need to cut this out. Like, you know what? Jalen Brunson is different, and if he don't win a championship, he gonna ultimately be mad at himself. I don't care what nobody say.
I wonder if they gave his dad, who's an assistant coach with the Knicks, $113 million raise.
Couldn't they be paid under the table? Don't guys get paid under the table? I mean, is that happening?
No, not to my knowledge.
We got one super chat, then I got the poll results and some comments to Bull's self-proclaimed most improved basketball talker on the show.
Yes.
So our guy Halim says,
I didn't say the best basketball talker. I said most improved.
MIP. Halim sent a super chat. Says JOK extension comes up. I don't want to hear a damn thing about him being too much. You negotiated against yourself. He was cut last offseason. Who was going to pay him that much if you don't?
Who was cut?
Nobody was cut last
JOK
I think he's saying if he was cut last, maybe.
I'm not following that.
I'll read it one more time, word for word. JOK extension comes up. I don't want to hear a damn thing about him being too much. You negotiated against yourself. He was cut last offseason. Who was going to pay him that much if you don't?
I don't know.
Does he mean Dustin Hopkins? He wasn't cut. He was traded, but it's kind of cut, I guess.
I don't know.
Maybe he meant Hopkins.
I'm confused. It's all right.
Real quick, the poll result.
Yeah.
Bull, I want to read you exactly how I put this poll so you understand.
Yeah.
Quote, is Bull the most improved basketball talker on UCSS, or is he smoking crack? 75% said smoking crack.
That's about what I expected.
And a few comments. William Beck said, Bull is improving, ... like Bronny James.
Oh, that's harsh.
Sean says, well, if he can't succeed as a Little League coach, he can try and be an NBA analyst.
That's good.
C-Town Comics says, Bull is smoking crack dipped in PCP.
Dipped in PCP.
Freddie B says, Bull smoking that shit. And Freddie also just chimed in and said Halim was talking about the kicker, Hopkins, not JOK. Yeah. So that makes more sense than the JOK.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So both 70. It's now 74%. 26 says you are the most improved.
Now that's about what I expected, and I would argue if I'm not the most improved, then who is?
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like, what's the bar here, and what was the starting block?
I just feel like I was pretty low down on basketball coverage, and I've gotten myself to.
Are you willing to commit?
I'm now the Baker Mayfield of basketball coverage. I'm adequate.
We're going to get over this. I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Will you commit to watching 10 regular season Cavs games this year?
I watched
more than that last year.
Regular season.
He did.
Yeah, I did. I watched more than that.
After saying he was not going to watch.
I know.
I think you should.
No, he came
make
back
it
as
like 40.
They made changes, so Bull watched.
Yeah, definitely.
Peace.
I'm locking it in. I'm locking it down.